If you enjoyed this audiobook, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Sharing it with your friends and family helps spread knowledge. And when we help others grow, we grow too. Thank you so much for listening. Let's dive into the book. Chapter 1, The Identity Revolution. Part 1, Who You Are versus What You Want. Understanding the difference between focusing on outcomes versus identity represents one of the most important shifts you can make in creating lasting change. Most people chase what they want to achieve while ignoring who they need to become to achieve it. This approach explains why 92% of New Year's resolutions fail and why people repeatedly struggle with the same challenges year after year. When you shift your focus from external outcomes to internal identity, you tap into the most powerful force for sustainable transformation. This section reveals how your brain forms identity, why outcome-focused goals create internal resistance, and how identity-first thinking makes change feel natural rather than forced. Sarah had tried every diet imaginable. She counted calories, eliminated carbs, and joined expensive fitness programs. Each time, she would lose 15 pounds, then gain it all back within months. Her pattern repeated for over a decade until she discovered something that changed everything. Instead of focusing on losing weight, she began asking herself a different question. What would a healthy person do in this situation? This simple shift transformed her entire approach. When faced with food choices, she no longer thought about her diet rules. Instead, she considered what aligned with being a healthy person. The chocolate cake at the office party became less tempting not because it was forbidden, but because choosing the fruit salad felt more consistent with who she was becoming. The neuroscience behind Sarah's transformation reveals why identity-based change works where goal-based approaches fail. Your brain operates through something called cognitive consistency. When your actions align with your identity, your nervous system experiences harmony. When they conflict, you feel internal tension that psychology calls cognitive dissonance. Traditional goal setting creates this dissonance by asking you to act differently while maintaining the same identity. If you see yourself as someone who struggles with exercise, then working out 4 times per week creates constant internal friction. Your brain works overtime to resolve this conflict, usually by reverting to familiar patterns. Think about your current habits for a moment. What identity do they reinforce about who you are? Identity formation happens through a continuous feedback loop between your actions and beliefs. Every behavior serves as evidence for the type of person you believe yourself to be. When you make your bed each morning, you reinforce the identity of someone who maintains order. When you skip workouts repeatedly, you strengthen the identity of someone who avoids physical challenges. This process operates largely below conscious awareness. Your brain constantly collects behavioral evidence and uses it to update your self-concept. The person who consistently arrives 5 minutes early develops an identity as someone reliable. The person who always finds excuses reinforces an identity as someone who avoids commitment. Consider Tom, a software engineer who wanted to become more creative. His traditional approach involved setting goals to paint 3 times per week and complete 1 artwork per month. Despite buying expensive supplies and scheduling painting sessions, he rarely followed through. The activities felt forced and unnatural. Everything changed when Tom shifted his focus to identity. Instead of trying to paint more, he began identifying as a creative person. He started carrying a small sketchbook, taking photos of interesting architectural details during lunch breaks, and joining online communities of digital artists. These small actions required minimal time but consistently reinforced his creative identity. Within 6 months, Tom naturally gravitated toward larger creative projects. He enrolled in weekend art classes, converted his spare room into a studio, and began sharing his work online. The behaviors that once felt forced now felt like natural expressions of who he had become. The power of identity-first thinking lies in how it changes your decision-making process. Instead of relying on willpower to force new behaviors, you begin choosing actions that feel consistent with your desired identity. This shift reduces internal resistance and makes change feel effortless. When you identify as a reader, visiting the library feels natural. When you see yourself as someone who values learning, taking online courses becomes obvious. When you embrace the identity of an organized person, maintaining clean spaces requires less conscious effort. Your current identity formed through years of behavioral patterns and social feedback. Some aspects serve you well, while others may limit your growth. The key insight is that identity remains fluid and changeable throughout your entire life. Research in neuroplasticity shows that your brain continues forming new neural pathways well into old age. Each time you act in alignment with a desired identity, you strengthen those neural connections. Each time you behave inconsistently with an unwanted identity, you weaken those patterns. What aspects of your current identity do you want to strengthen, and which ones are ready for transformation? Maria discovered this principle when she decided to become a morning person. For years, she identified as someone who functioned better at night. She would stay up until midnight, struggle to wake up, and feel groggy until noon. Her identity as a night owl seemed fixed and unchangeable. The transformation began with tiny actions that contradicted her old identity. She started setting her alarm 15 minutes earlier and immediately opening the curtains upon waking. She bought a sunrise alarm clock and began drinking water before coffee. Each small action served as evidence that maybe she could become someone who thrived in the morning. Within 3 months, Maria naturally woke up at 6 a.m. without an alarm. She had energy for morning workouts and accomplished her most important tasks before 10 a.m. The identity shift felt so natural that she could barely remember being a night owl. The process Maria used illustrates how identity changes through accumulated evidence rather than dramatic overhauls. Each small action serves as a vote for the type of person you want to become. Miss one vote, and it barely matters. Miss most votes, and you reinforce the old identity. This voting system explains why focusing on outcomes often backfires. When you set a goal to lose 30 pounds, missing one workout feels like failure. But when you focus on becoming a fit person, missing one workout becomes simply one vote against your desired identity, while the next workout becomes another opportunity to vote for it. Identity conflicts represent one of the biggest obstacles to sustainable change. These occur when your desired changes conflict with existing aspects of your identity. Someone who identifies as easygoing might struggle with setting boundaries. Someone who sees themselves as spontaneous might resist planning and organization. Recognizing these conflicts allows you to address them directly rather than fighting against invisible resistance. Instead of forcing yourself to plan when you value spontaneity, you might explore how organized people maintain flexibility. Instead of becoming rigid when you value being easygoing, you might discover how kind people still maintain healthy boundaries. The most effective approach involves expanding your identity rather than replacing it entirely. You don't abandon being spontaneous to become organized. Instead, you become someone who values both flexibility and preparation. You don't stop being kind to start setting boundaries. You become someone who shows kindness to yourself and others through healthy limits. How might your desired changes complement rather than conflict with your existing positive identity traits? Understanding who you are versus what you want creates the foundation for lasting transformation. When you align your actions with your desired identity rather than external outcomes, change begins to feel natural and sustainable. Every small action becomes meaningful because it represents evidence of who you're becoming rather than just progress toward what you want to achieve. This shift from outcome-based to identity-based thinking transforms your entire relationship with personal development. Instead of fighting against yourself to force unwanted behaviors, you begin naturally gravitating toward actions that express your evolving identity. The person you want to become starts guiding your daily choices, making transformation feel less like work and more like self-expression. Part 2. The 1% Identity Shift Method. The secret to lasting transformation isn't found in dramatic overhauls or heroic efforts. It lies in mastering the art of the 1% identity shift, a method that turns microscopic actions into powerful identity changes. This approach works because it aligns with how your brain naturally forms self-concept while avoiding the resistance that comes with trying to change too much too fast. By implementing tiny, consistent behaviors that reflect your desired identity, you create an unstoppable momentum that transforms who you are from the inside out. making lasting change feel effortless and natural. The power of the 1% identity shift method lies in its simplicity and scientific foundation. Research in behavioral psychology shows that small, consistent actions create neural pathways that strengthen over time, gradually reshaping how you see yourself. When Sarah, a busy marketing executive, wanted to become a runner, she didn't start with 5-mile runs. Instead, she committed to putting on her running shoes every morning for just 1 minute. This simple act sent a clear message to her brain: I am someone who runs. After 2 weeks of this micro-habit, Sarah naturally began taking short walks around her block while wearing her running shoes. Within a month, she was jogging for 5 minutes. 6 months later, she completed her first half marathon. The transformation happened not through willpower, but through consistent identity reinforcement. Each morning, she was casting a vote for the person she wanted to become. Think about your own desired transformation. What identity shift would create the most meaningful change in your life? The beauty of the 1% method is that it makes any identity accessible through micro-behaviors. If you want to become a writer, you don't need to write a novel tomorrow. You need to write 1 sentence daily. If you want to become organized, you don't need to reorganize your entire life. You need to make your bed each morning. The psychology behind small wins reveals why this method works so effectively. Every time you complete a micro-behavior aligned with your desired identity, your brain receives a small dose of dopamine. This neurochemical reward creates positive associations with the new behavior while simultaneously updating your self-concept. Over time, these small wins compound, creating what researchers call success spirals that naturally expand into larger behavioral changes. Consider Marcus, a software developer who wanted to become a leader in his field. Instead of signing up for expensive leadership courses, he committed to asking one thoughtful question in every team meeting. This simple action required no special skills or significant time investment, yet it began shifting how colleagues perceived him, and more importantly, how he perceived himself. Within months, he was naturally taking on more leadership responsibilities because his identity had quietly transformed. The framework for selecting effective 1% shifts involves 3 key criteria. First, the behavior must be so small that you cannot fail to do it consistently. If you can't imagine doing it every single day for the next month, it's too big. Second, the action must clearly align with your desired identity. There should be an obvious connection between the micro-behavior and the person you want to become. Third, the behavior should feel meaningful to you personally, even if it seems insignificant to others. How do you measure progress without becoming obsessed with metrics? The 1% identity shift method focuses on process metrics rather than outcome metrics. Instead of tracking weight loss, you track days you've acted like a healthy person. Instead of measuring income increases, you track days you've behaved like a successful professional. This shift in measurement keeps your focus on identity reinforcement rather than external validation. The timing of implementation matters significantly. Research shows that linking new micro-behaviors to existing habits creates the strongest neural pathways. This concept, called habit stacking, involves attaching your 1% shift to something you already do consistently. After you brush your teeth, you read 1 page of a book. After you sit down at your desk, you write 1 sentence in your journal. After you start your car, you practice 1 minute of confident posture. Real-world applications demonstrate the method's versatility. Jennifer, a shy accountant, wanted to become more confident in social situations. Her 1% shift was making eye contact with 1 stranger daily while walking to work. This micro-behavior required no conversation skills or social expertise, yet it gradually built her confidence and changed how she moved through the world. Within 6 months, she was naturally initiating conversations and had been promoted to a client-facing role. Athletes particularly benefit from this approach because it mirrors how physical skills develop through repetition. David, a weekend golfer wanting to improve his game, committed to practicing his grip for 2 minutes daily in his living room. This simple action, performed consistently, improved his muscle memory and reinforced his identity as a serious golfer. His scores dropped steadily over the following months, not because of the 2 minutes of practice, but because of the confidence and focus that came from seeing himself as someone who takes improvement seriously. What makes this method revolutionary is how it handles the common pitfall of trying to change too much too fast. Traditional approaches often fail because they create too much cognitive load and internal resistance. Your brain interprets dramatic changes as threats to your existing identity, triggering psychological defense mechanisms that sabotage progress. The 1% method flies under the radar of these defense systems, creating change so gradually that resistance never activates. Maintaining momentum during challenging periods requires specific strategies. First, never let 2 days pass without performing your micro-behavior. Missing 1 day is a mistake. Missing 2 days starts a pattern that can derail your identity shift. Second, prepare for obstacles by creating minimum viable versions of your behavior. If your 1% shift is doing 10 push-ups daily, your minimum viable version might be doing 1 push-up or simply getting into push-up position. The language you use to describe your actions significantly impacts their identity-reinforcing power. Instead of saying, "I'm trying to exercise more," say, "I'm someone who moves their body daily." Instead of "I want to eat better," say, "I'm someone who nourishes themselves well." This subtle shift in language aligns your self-talk with your desired identity, accelerating the transformation process. Creating feedback loops ensures your 1% shifts continue reinforcing positive changes. Visual tracking methods, like marking X's on a calendar, provide immediate reinforcement while creating a chain of evidence supporting your new identity. Some people find success in identity journals, writing brief daily entries about how their micro-behaviors made them feel more like their desired self. Remember that every small action is an opportunity to strengthen your evolving identity. The person who does 1 push-up daily isn't just exercising. They're proving to themselves they're someone who follows through on commitments to physical health. The person who reads 1 page daily isn't just learning. They're demonstrating they value continuous growth and intellectual development. The compound effect of these micro-behaviors creates transformation that feels almost magical to outside observers, but perfectly natural to you. Because the changes happen gradually and align with your strengthening identity, there's no internal conflict or sense that you're forcing yourself to be someone you're not. You simply become who you've been practicing to be, one small action at a time. Part 3. Becoming your future self today. The ability to become your future self today represents one of the most powerful tools for personal transformation. Instead of waiting months or years to embody the person you want to become, you can start acting, thinking, and feeling like that person right now. This practice creates an immediate bridge between your current reality and desired future, accelerating change through what scientists call prospective memory, your brain's capacity to rehearse and prepare for future events. The techniques in this section will show you how to collapse the timeline between who you are and who you're becoming, making transformation feel natural rather than forced. Sarah, a marketing coordinator, dreamed of becoming a confident public speaker who could command attention in boardrooms. Instead of waiting until she felt ready, she began embodying this identity immediately. Every morning, she would stand in front of her mirror and deliver a 2-minute presentation about her day ahead, speaking with the posture and voice tone of a seasoned executive. She dressed slightly more professionally than required, carried herself with purposeful confidence, and spoke up in meetings as if she already possessed the authority she desired. Within 3 months, Sarah was invited to present to senior leadership. Her colleagues were surprised by her sudden transformation, but to Sarah, it felt completely natural. She had been practicing being that person for months, so stepping into the actual role required no dramatic shift. The future version of herself had become her present reality through consistent daily embodiment. This transformation process begins with what researchers call future self-visualization, a technique that literally rewires your brain to see your desired identity as achievable and real. When you vividly imagine your future self in specific situations, your neural pathways begin forming connections that support those behaviors. Your brain starts treating this imagined version as a memory rather than a fantasy, making the transition feel familiar rather than foreign. How clearly can you picture the specific daily routines of the person you want to become? The key to effective future self-visualization lies in creating sensory-rich mental experiences. Instead of vague images of success, construct detailed scenarios where you see, hear, and feel yourself operating as your future identity. Imagine the texture of clothes that person would wear, the conversations they would have, the decisions they would make when facing challenges. Michael, an accountant who wanted to become a fitness coach, began each day with a 10-minute visualization session. He would imagine greeting clients at a gym, demonstrating exercises with confidence, and providing nutrition advice with authority. He visualized the feeling of his own strong, fit body moving through space, the sound of his voice giving encouragement, even the smell of the gym environment. These detailed mental rehearsals created neural pathways that supported his actual transformation journey. The Future Self Decision Matrix provides a practical framework for making choices through your desired identity lens. When facing any decision, ask yourself 3 questions. What would my future self choose in this situation? How would they think about this problem? What actions align with who I'm becoming? This matrix transforms decision-making from reactive to proactive, ensuring every choice reinforces your evolving identity. Consider the gap between your current and future self not as a chasm to leap across, but as a bridge to build step by step. Identity bridging involves creating intermediate versions of yourself that make the transformation feel achievable. If you want to become a confident leader but currently feel insecure in groups, your bridge identity might be someone who asks thoughtful questions, or a person who listens actively and contributes meaningfully. Jennifer worked in data analysis, but dreamed of becoming a creative director. Her bridge identity became an analytical person who thinks creatively about problems. She started applying creative thinking to her current role, redesigning reports to be more visually appealing and proposing innovative solutions to routine challenges. This intermediate identity felt authentic while moving her toward her ultimate goal. Physical embodiment accelerates identity transformation by engaging your body in the change process. The clothes you wear, the way you arrange your environment, and the rituals you perform all send signals to your brain about who you are. When you dress like your future self, your posture naturally adjusts. When you organize your space like that person would, your thinking patterns begin to shift. Research shows that people who dress professionally perform better on cognitive tasks requiring abstract thinking. This enclothed cognition effect demonstrates how external changes influence internal states. Your future self likely has different clothing choices, workspace organization, and daily routines than your current self. Start incorporating these physical elements immediately, rather than waiting until you deserve them. What aspects of your physical environment currently support your old identity that could be changed today? Sometimes the shift is as simple as replacing the pile of bills on your desk with industry publications relevant to your desired career, or swapping your usual coffee mug for one that reflects your aspirational identity. Identity journaling provides a powerful method for tracking and reinforcing your transformation. Instead of traditional journaling that focuses on what happened, identity journaling explores who you're becoming. Write from the perspective of your future self, describing challenges and successes as that person would experience them. This practice strengthens the neural pathways associated with your desired identity, while providing clarity about the gap between current and future versions of yourself. Tom, an engineer transitioning to entrepreneurship, wrote daily entries as if he were already a successful business owner. He described client meetings, strategic decisions, and leadership challenges as if they were current reality rather than future aspirations. This practice helped him identify the mindset shifts necessary for his transformation, while building confidence in his ability to handle entrepreneurial challenges. Future self-meditation involves spending dedicated time each day connecting with your evolved identity. During these sessions, imagine conversations with your future self, asking for guidance on current challenges and receiving wisdom from the person you're becoming. This practice creates a sense of mentorship and support that makes the transformation journey feel less lonely and more guided. Creating identity anchors establishes physical or digital reminders of who you're becoming. These might include photographs that represent your desired lifestyle, quotes that capture your future mindset, or objects that symbolize your transformation. Place these anchors strategically throughout your environment so you encounter regular reminders of your evolving identity. The smartphone wallpaper showing a confident speaker reminds you of your public speaking goals every time you check your phone. The book on your nightstand about entrepreneurship reinforces your business aspirations before sleep and upon waking. These anchors work subconsciously, keeping your desired identity active in your awareness throughout the day. Overcoming imposter syndrome becomes easier when you reframe it as evidence of growth rather than proof of inadequacy. Feeling like an imposter means you're stretching beyond your current comfort zone, which is exactly what identity transformation requires. Instead of waiting until imposter syndrome disappears, use it as a compass pointing toward your growing edges. The person you're becoming would handle imposter syndrome differently than you do currently. They might view it as excitement rather than anxiety, or as confirmation that they're pursuing worthy challenges. Start responding to these feelings from your future identity perspective, using them as fuel for continued growth rather than reasons to retreat. How would your future self encourage you through moments of doubt and uncertainty? Daily embodiment of your future identity creates authentic confidence because you're literally practicing being that person. Confidence isn't a prerequisite for transformation. It's a byproduct of consistent identity-aligned action. Each time you act as your future self would act, you build evidence that supports your evolving self-concept. The timeline between current and future self collapses when you stop waiting for permission to become who you want to be. Your future self isn't a distant possibility requiring years of preparation. They're a present reality waiting for you to step into their shoes today. Every moment offers an opportunity to think, feel, and act from your desired identity, creating the compound effect that makes transformation appear magical to outside observers, but perfectly natural to you. Part 4. Identity Anchoring Techniques. Your brain forms new identity patterns through repetition and association. When you create specific triggers that instantly connect you to your desired identity, transformation becomes automatic rather than forced. These anchoring techniques work by building neural pathways that make your new identity feel natural and effortless. Physical anchors activate your body's memory, environmental cues reshape your surroundings to support change, and social connections reinforce who you're becoming. The most powerful transformations happen when you layer multiple anchoring strategies together, creating a comprehensive system that supports your identity shift from every angle. Your body holds tremendous power in shaping how you feel about yourself. Physical anchors create instant connections between specific movements, postures, or breathing patterns and your desired identity state. When a CEO walks into a boardroom, they don't just think confidence. Their posture, breathing, and gestures embody it completely. Sarah, a software engineer transitioning into leadership, struggled with imposter syndrome during meetings. She developed a simple physical anchor. Before entering any room, she would stand tall, take 3 deep breaths, and place her hand on her heart while thinking, "I am a leader who adds value." This 20-second ritual activated her leadership identity instantly. Within weeks, colleagues noticed her increased presence and started seeking her input more frequently. Physical anchors work because your nervous system cannot distinguish between practiced confidence and natural confidence. When you consistently pair specific body positions with desired identity states, your brain creates automatic associations. The key lies in choosing movements that feel authentic to your desired identity. How does your current posture reflect who you want to become? Notice how successful people in your target identity carry themselves, breathe, and move through space. Your environment constantly communicates messages about who you are and who you can become. Environmental anchors involve strategically designing spaces that reinforce your new identity while removing cues that trigger old patterns. A person becoming a writer needs writing-focused spaces, not cluttered areas that suggest chaos. Michael wanted to become a fitness enthusiast but kept skipping workouts. Instead of relying on willpower, he transformed his bedroom environment. He placed his workout clothes at the foot of his bed, hung motivational fitness photos on his wall, and moved his running shoes beside his alarm clock. His phone wallpaper showed his fitness goal physique. These environmental cues constantly reminded him of his athletic identity, making healthy choices feel natural rather than forced. Environmental anchoring extends beyond physical objects to include removing negative triggers. If you're developing a reading habit, removing the television from your bedroom eliminates the competing cue. If you're becoming more organized, cluttered spaces need transformation because mess reinforces chaotic identity patterns. Digital spaces shape identity just as powerfully as physical ones. Your smartphone, computer, and digital environments can become identity reinforcement tools through strategic anchoring. The average person checks their phone over 100 times daily, creating numerous opportunities for identity reinforcement. Consider how your digital environment currently supports or undermines your desired identity. If you want to become more mindful, notification sounds that create anxiety work against this goal. If you're developing business skills, your phone's app arrangement should prioritize productivity tools over entertainment. Jessica used digital anchoring to develop her entrepreneurial identity. She changed her phone wallpaper to an image representing her business vision, set hourly notifications with entrepreneur-focused affirmations, and rearranged apps to prioritize business tools. Her computer password became a phrase related to her business goals, requiring her to type her identity intention multiple times daily. These small digital touches created dozens of daily identity reinforcements. What messages does your current digital environment send about who you are? Simple changes like inspirational wallpapers, strategic app placement, and identity-focused notification messages create powerful subconscious reinforcement. Humans are social creatures who naturally adopt the identities reflected by their communities. Social anchoring involves strategically connecting with people, groups, and communities that embody your desired identity. When you surround yourself with people living your target identity, their behaviors, language, and mindsets become normal rather than aspirational. Professional athlete training camps work partly because immersion in athletic identity becomes total. Everyone thinks, talks, and acts like an elite athlete. This social environment makes peak performance feel natural rather than extraordinary. Tom wanted to develop his public speaking abilities, but felt nervous about his capability. He joined a local Toastmasters group where everyone shared his growth goal. Being surrounded by people practicing public speaking skills weekly normalized what previously felt scary. The social environment reinforced his speaker identity through shared language, common challenges, and mutual encouragement. Social anchoring also involves carefully communicating your transformation to supportive people in your life. When you tell trusted friends about your identity shift and ask for their support, you create external accountability that reinforces internal change. Daily rituals create powerful identity, anchoring by establishing consistent practices that reinforce who you're becoming. Unlike habits focused on outcomes, identity rituals focus on embodying desired characteristics through meaningful actions. These rituals become sacred time dedicated to strengthening your evolving identity. A morning ritual might include meditation for someone developing mindfulness, reading for someone becoming more knowledgeable, or exercise for someone embracing health. The specific activity matters less than the consistent practice of identity embodiment. Identity artifacts are physical objects that represent your transformation journey and serve as tangible anchors to your desired identity. These might include a special notebook for someone becoming a writer, a particular piece of jewelry for someone developing confidence, or workout gear for someone embracing fitness. The power of identity artifacts lies not in the objects themselves, but in their symbolic meaning and the rituals surrounding their use. When you consistently associate specific objects with your desired identity, they become powerful triggers that instantly connect you to that identity state. Sometimes anchors lose their effectiveness or create negative associations. Refreshing anchors involves changing elements while maintaining the core identity connection. If your morning ritual becomes routine without meaning, modify it while preserving its identity-reinforcing purpose. Layering multiple anchor types creates comprehensive identity support systems. Physical posture anchors combined with environmental cues, social connections, and daily rituals create overlapping reinforcement that makes identity transformation feel inevitable rather than forced. The most effective anchoring systems include elements from each category, creating multiple daily touchpoints with your desired identity. This comprehensive approach ensures that identity reinforcement happens consistently throughout your day, making transformation feel natural and sustainable rather than requiring constant conscious effort. Chapter 2. The System Override Part 1. Why Goals Fail and Systems Win. Most people chase goals like moths chase light bulbs, with intense focus that ultimately leads to burnout. Traditional goal setting creates a feast or famine mentality where success feels distant and failure feels devastating. This section exposes why outcome-focused thinking sabotages lasting change and introduces systems thinking as the superior alternative. You'll discover how the world's most successful people actually operate, not through rigid goal pursuit, but through robust systems that generate continuous progress. We'll transform your understanding of achievement from destination-based thinking to journey-based mastery, providing practical frameworks to build systems that work regardless of specific outcomes. Sarah had set the same New Year's resolution for 3 consecutive years: lose 30 pounds. Each January, she bought gym memberships, meal prep containers, and fitness trackers. By March, she felt defeated and abandoned her efforts entirely. Her mistake wasn't lack of willpower, it was relying on goals instead of systems. Traditional goals create what researchers call the arrival fallacy, the belief that reaching a specific outcome will provide lasting satisfaction. When Sarah focused on losing 30 pounds, she created an all-or-nothing mindset. Every day she didn't lose weight felt like failure. Every small setback became evidence that she was failing at her goal. Consider how goals naturally breed dissatisfaction. If you set a goal to make $100,000 this year, every day you haven't reached that number feels incomplete. Goals postpone happiness until some future achievement, creating chronic dissatisfaction with your current state. Research from behavioral psychology reveals that outcome-focused thinking actually increases anxiety and decreases performance. When athletes focus intensely on winning rather than executing their technique, they typically perform worse under pressure. The same principle applies to personal development. Think about your own experience. How often have you achieved a significant goal only to feel empty or immediately start chasing the next target? Goals also create what psychologists call post-achievement depression. After months of pursuing a specific outcome, achieving it often feels anticlimactic. Many marathon runners describe feeling lost after completing their first race. They had organized their entire identity around training for this single event, and crossing the finish line left them wondering, what now? Systems thinking operates on completely different principles. Instead of focusing on outcomes, systems focus on processes. A system is simply a series of repeated actions that generate consistent results over time. When Sarah shifted from goal thinking to systems thinking, everything changed. Instead of fixating on losing 30 pounds, she built a system. Prepare healthy meals every Sunday, walk for 20 minutes after dinner, and do bodyweight exercises while watching morning news. These actions became her identity, not her destination. The beauty of systems lies in their immediate satisfaction. Every time Sarah completed her Sunday meal prep, she won. Every evening walk was a victory. Success became daily rather than distant. Professional athletes understand this distinction intuitively. Tennis players don't think about winning tournaments during matches. They focus on serving technique, footwork, and strategic positioning. The tournament victories emerge naturally from consistently executing superior systems. Business leaders follow similar patterns. Amazon's Jeff Bezos didn't build the company by setting quarterly revenue goals. He built systems for customer obsession, operational excellence, and long-term thinking. The financial results followed from superior systems. Systems create what researchers call process pride, satisfaction derived from executing actions well rather than achieving specific outcomes. When you feel proud of showing up consistently regardless of immediate results, you build sustainable motivation. Compare this to outcome pride, which depends entirely on external validation and specific achievements. Outcome pride feels good temporarily, but creates anxiety about maintaining results and pressure to constantly achieve more. How might your relationship with personal development change if you measured success by consistency rather than outcomes? Converting goals into systems requires a fundamental shift in perspective. Instead of asking, "What do I want to achieve?" ask, "What type of person would achieve this naturally?" If your goal is writing a book, the system-focused question becomes, "What would a professional writer do daily?" The answer might be, write 500 words every morning, read fiction for 30 minutes before bed, and attend one writing workshop monthly. The Process Design Canvas provides a practical framework for this conversion. Start by identifying your desired outcome, then work backward to identify the daily actions that would naturally produce this result. Focus on actions you can control completely, regardless of external circumstances. For financial goals, instead of targeting specific income numbers, build systems around skill development, relationship building, and value creation. A freelancer might systemize, pitch 3 potential clients weekly, spend 1 hour daily learning new skills, and follow up with past clients monthly. System success metrics measure process consistency rather than outcome achievement. Instead of tracking weight loss, track meal prep consistency and exercise frequency. Instead of measuring income increases, measure skill development hours and networking conversations. These metrics provide immediate feedback and maintain motivation during the inevitable periods when outcomes lag behind efforts. They also identify which parts of your system need adjustment before problems compound. Many people worry that abandoning goals means losing ambition or accepting mediocrity. This concern misunderstands how high achievement actually works. Systems-focused individuals often achieve more than goal-focused people because they maintain consistent action over longer periods. Goals create stopping points. Once achieved, motivation often disappears. Systems create continuous improvement. When your identity centers on daily practices rather than specific achievements, you naturally push beyond what any single goal might have demanded. Think of systems as compound machines. Each day's small actions build on previous actions, creating exponential rather than linear progress. Goals interrupt this compounding by creating artificial finish lines. Advanced systems incorporate feedback loops that help them improve automatically. Weekly reviews assess which actions produce the best results and which need modification. Monthly evaluations examine whether the system itself needs restructuring. Effective systems also build anti-fragility. They become stronger under stress rather than weaker. When life disrupts your routine, a robust system has backup plans and minimum viable versions. If you can't complete your full workout, your system includes a 10-minute backup option. The most sophisticated systems are self-improving. They include built-in mechanisms for evolution and adaptation. Professional musicians don't just practice daily, they regularly assess their practice methods and upgrade their techniques. Building systems requires patience with the process and faith in compound effects. Results often remain invisible for weeks or months, while consistent actions create the foundation for eventual breakthroughs. This approach transforms your relationship with both success and failure. When you focus on systems, there are no failures, only feedback about which processes need adjustment. Every day becomes an opportunity to execute your system regardless of yesterday's outcomes. Systems thinking creates sustainable change because it aligns with how human behavior actually works. We are creatures of habit and routine, not willpower and motivation. By designing superior systems, you harness your natural tendencies rather than fighting against them. Part 2. The Habit Loop 2.0. Building stronger habits requires understanding the intricate mechanics of how behaviors form and persist in our modern world. The traditional habit loop model, while groundbreaking, needs updating for today's hyper-connected reality, where digital distractions compete for our attention every second. This enhanced framework reveals how to engineer habits that automatically strengthen over time, incorporating cutting-edge neuroscience research about dopamine, craving, and behavioral automation. You'll discover practical methods for designing habit loops that work with your brain's natural wiring rather than against it, creating sustainable change that compounds daily. The original habit loop gave us a foundation, But our understanding of behavior has evolved dramatically. Research now shows that habits operate through 4 distinct phases that create a complete behavioral circuit. This updated model reflects how we actually live and work in an age of smartphones, social media, and constant connectivity. The first stage remains the cue, but modern cues are far more complex than simple environmental triggers. Your phone buzzing creates a digital cue that can either support or sabotage your goals. Sarah, a marketing executive, realized her phone notifications were cueing endless social media checking. She redesigned her digital environment by turning off non-essential notifications and placing her phone in another room during focused work sessions. This simple cue modification transformed her productivity habits within days. Environmental cues still matter tremendously. Placing workout clothes next to your bed creates a visual cue for morning exercise. Keeping a water bottle on your desk cues regular hydration. The key is making positive cues obvious and negative cues invisible. Remove the cookie jar from your counter and replace it with a fruit bowl. The visual cue for healthy eating now appears automatically in your peripheral vision. Social cues represent the most powerful trigger category. When your workout partner texts about meeting at the gym, that social cue activates your exercise habit more effectively than any personal reminder. Building social cues into your habit design multiplies your success rate exponentially. The second stage, craving, determines whether your cue leads to action. Craving isn't just wanting something, it's the anticipatory feeling that drives behavior. Understanding how to engineer positive cravings while reducing negative ones gives you tremendous power over your habits. Think about checking your email. The craving isn't actually reading emails, it's the anticipation of potentially important information. This same psychological mechanism can power positive habits. James, a software developer, struggled with consistent writing practice until he reframed the craving. Instead of focusing on producing perfect prose, he started craving the satisfaction of putting thoughts into words. This subtle shift in craving made writing feel rewarding rather than stressful. Creating positive cravings requires connecting habits to immediate emotional benefits. Exercise becomes more appealing when you crave the energy boost rather than focusing on long-term weight loss. Reading becomes magnetic when you crave learning interesting facts rather than completing books. What immediate emotional reward could make your desired habit more compelling? The response stage involves the actual behavior, but optimization here goes beyond just doing the action. Response optimization means engineering the easiest possible version of your desired behavior while adding friction to unwanted behaviors. This principle transforms habit success rates dramatically. Making positive responses easier might mean preparing healthy snacks on Sunday, so good eating choices require no daily decision-making. It could mean laying out exercise equipment the night before, so morning workouts need minimal mental energy. The 2-minute rule applies here. Your habit should be accomplishable in 2 minutes or less when starting out. Adding friction to negative behaviors works equally well. Logging out of social media accounts after each use creates just enough friction to break mindless scrolling patterns. Keeping junk food in inconvenient locations makes unhealthy choices require deliberate effort rather than automatic responses. The final stage, reward, completes the habit loop and determines whether the behavior will repeat. Modern neuroscience reveals that sustainable rewards must feel genuine and align with your intrinsic motivations. External rewards often backfire by reducing internal motivation over time. The most effective rewards are often small acknowledgments of progress rather than elaborate celebrations. Checking off a completed habit on a simple tracking sheet provides enough reward to reinforce the behavior. Sharing your progress with a supportive friend creates social reward that strengthens the habit loop. Habit loops strengthen through repetition, but they can also weaken through habituation, when rewards lose their power over time. Preventing habituation requires varying your rewards while maintaining the core habit structure. Use different routes for daily walks, try new healthy recipes, or change your workout playlist regularly. The variety prevents boredom while preserving the habit loop integrity. Designing habit loops that compound over time requires understanding how each stage can reinforce the others. Strong cues create stronger cravings. Optimized responses make rewards more satisfying. Better rewards make you more sensitive to cues. This positive feedback loop explains why some habits become automatic while others fade away. Creating compound habit loops involves linking multiple positive behaviors into sequences that trigger each other. Morning routines work because each completed action cues the next one. Finishing your coffee cues, opening your journal. Completing your writing cues, starting your workout. Each habit in the sequence strengthens the entire chain. The Habit Loop 2.0 model provides a framework for systematically improving any behavior pattern. Start by identifying which stage needs the most attention in your existing habits. Are your cues clear and consistent? Do you genuinely crave the behavior? Is your response optimized for success? Are your rewards satisfying and sustainable? Strengthening the weakest link often transforms the entire habit loop. This enhanced understanding of habit mechanics gives you precise tools for behavioral change. Rather than relying on willpower and motivation, you can engineer systems that make positive behaviors feel automatic and inevitable. The compound effect of well-designed habit loops creates dramatic transformation through small, consistent improvements to how your behaviors actually form and persist. Part 3. Environmental design for automatic success. Your environment acts as an invisible force that shapes every decision you make throughout the day. While most people believe willpower drives behavior change, research reveals that environmental design accounts for up to 80% of our automatic actions. This section transforms you into the architect of your own success by teaching you to engineer spaces that make positive habits feel effortless and negative habits practically impossible. You'll discover how subtle environmental adjustments create powerful behavioral shifts. Learn to design layered environmental systems that work across all life contexts, and master the art of environmental automation that triggers success without conscious effort. Think about the last time you walked into a beautifully organized room versus a cluttered, chaotic space. Notice how differently you felt and behaved in each environment. Your brain constantly scans your surroundings for behavioral cues, making split-second decisions based on what it perceives. This automatic process happens below conscious awareness, which explains why environmental design works so effectively for habit formation. Sarah, a marketing executive, struggled with late-night phone scrolling that disrupted her sleep. Instead of fighting her urges with willpower, she made one simple environmental change: placing her phone in the kitchen before bedtime and keeping an analog alarm clock in her bedroom. Within a week, her evening routine transformed. The extra steps required to retrieve her phone created enough friction to break the automatic behavior pattern. Environmental design operates through choice architecture, a concept that guides decisions without eliminating options. A well-designed environment makes the right choice the obvious choice. Consider how grocery stores place healthy foods at eye level and junk food in harder-to-reach locations. You can apply this same principle to your personal spaces. The most effective environmental changes target 3 key areas: reducing friction for positive behaviors, increasing friction for negative behaviors, and optimizing visual cues that trigger desired actions. When you place your workout clothes next to your bed, you reduce friction for morning exercise. When you store unhealthy snacks in opaque containers on high shelves, you increase friction for poor eating choices. Digital environments require special attention in our technology-driven world. Your smartphone contains thousands of behavioral triggers disguised as apps, notifications, and visual elements. Marcus, a software developer, reorganized his phone using environmental principles. He moved social media apps to a separate folder 3 swipes away from his home screen, while placing his meditation and reading apps prominently in the dock. This simple rearrangement reduced his mindless scrolling by 70% and increased his daily reading time. Consider your notification settings as environmental design tools. Each notification creates a behavioral interruption that redirects your attention. Audit your current notifications and ask yourself, does this support my desired behaviors or distract from them? Turn off notifications for apps that don't align with your priorities and customize alerts only for truly important communications. Physical environment optimization involves 3 distinct layers: macro, micro, and nano environments. Your macro environment includes entire rooms or buildings where you spend significant time. Your micro environment encompasses specific areas like your desk, bedside table, or kitchen counter. Your nano environment consists of small spaces like your pocket, wallet, or bag. Have you ever noticed how certain spaces naturally make you feel productive while others drain your energy? This isn't coincidental. It's the result of environmental factors working together. Start with macro environment design by assigning specific purposes to different areas. Designate your bedroom exclusively for sleep and intimacy, avoiding work or entertainment, activities that create conflicting behavioral cues. Create a dedicated workspace, even if it's just a corner of a room, that signals focus and productivity when you enter it. Lighting plays a crucial role in environmental design. Natural light exposure in the morning helps regulate circadian rhythms and increases energy levels throughout the day. Position your workspace near a window when possible, or invest in a light therapy lamp for darker environments. Dim, warm lighting in evening spaces supports relaxation and better sleep preparation. Temperature control affects both comfort and cognitive performance. Research shows that slightly cool environments enhance alertness and concentration, while warmer spaces promote relaxation. Adjust your thermostat based on the behaviors you want to encourage in different areas. Micro-environment design focuses on immediate surroundings where specific habits occur. Your desk setup influences work productivity, while your kitchen counter arrangement affects eating choices. Apply the principle of environmental cueing by placing objects related to desired behaviors in prominent, easily accessible locations. Jennifer transformed her morning routine by redesigning her bathroom counter. She placed her vitamins next to her toothbrush, positioned her skincare products in order of use, and kept a water bottle visible as a hydration reminder. These small changes automated her morning health habits without requiring additional mental energy. Nano-environment optimization involves the small items you carry daily. Your wallet, purse, or pockets become portable environmental systems that influence behavior throughout the day. Carry a healthy snack in your bag to avoid vending machine temptations. Keep a small notebook for capturing ideas instead of relying on phone apps that might distract you. What items do you currently carry that support your goals, and what items might be sabotaging your progress? Seasonal environmental adjustments account for changing conditions throughout the year. Winter environments might emphasize indoor exercise equipment and bright lighting to combat seasonal depression. Summer setups could focus on hydration reminders and sun protection cues. Regularly audit and adjust your environmental design to maintain effectiveness across different seasons. Travel presents unique environmental challenges that require portable solutions. Create a travel kit containing essential items that maintain your routine regardless of location. This might include noise-canceling headphones for meditation, resistance bands for exercise, or specific apps downloaded for offline use. Environmental automation represents the advanced level of environmental design. This involves creating environments that automatically trigger entire habit chains without conscious decision-making. Tom, an entrepreneur, designed his home office to automatically trigger his productive work state. When he enters the room, specific lighting activates, his computer opens predetermined applications, and calming background music begins playing. This environmental sequence eliminates decision fatigue and immediately puts him in the right mindset for focused work. Design environmental automation by identifying the specific sequence of actions that lead to your desired behavior, then engineer your environment to trigger each step automatically. Smart home technology can support this process through programmable lighting, music, and climate control systems. Environmental recovery focuses on designing spaces that help you bounce back from setbacks or challenging days. Create a designated recovery area in your home where you can reset and reconnect with your priorities. This space should contain items that remind you of your values, provide comfort during difficult times, and offer simple activities that restore your sense of control. Begin your environmental audit by spending 1 week observing how different spaces affect your behavior and energy levels. Notice which areas naturally support productive behaviors and which ones trigger unwanted actions. Document these observations without judgment. Awareness is the first step toward improvement. Next, identify the 3 most important habits you want to develop or strengthen. For each habit, map out the current environmental factors that either support or hinder that behavior. Look for quick wins, small environmental changes that could have immediate, positive impact. Create an environmental design plan that addresses each layer of your environment. Start with one significant change in your macro environment, such as reorganizing a room or creating a dedicated space for a specific activity. Then identify 3 microenvironment improvements, like reorganizing your desk or rearranging your kitchen counter. Finally, select one nano-environment optimization, such as reorganizing your bag or wallet contents. Remember that environmental design is an ongoing process, not a one-time setup. Your needs and priorities will evolve, requiring periodic environmental adjustments. Schedule monthly environmental audits to assess what's working and what needs modification. The goal of environmental design isn't to create perfect spaces, but to engineer environments that consistently guide you toward positive behaviors with minimal conscious effort. When your environment supports your goals, success becomes the natural result of simply moving through your daily routine. Part 4. The Compound Effect Blueprint. Understanding compound growth transforms how you approach personal change forever. Most people abandon their efforts just before reaching the tipping point, where small actions create massive results. This blueprint reveals how to harness mathematical principles of compounding for habit formation, providing tools to measure invisible progress and maintain motivation through the challenging early phases. You'll learn to design habit systems that amplify each other's benefits and create exponential improvement across multiple life areas. The strategies here turn tiny daily actions into remarkable long-term transformations. Sarah's morning routine looked insignificant on paper. She woke up 5 minutes earlier each day to read one page of a personal development book. Her friends barely noticed this tiny change. After 6 months, Sarah had completed 12 books, while her peers complained about having no time to learn. This simple example demonstrates the compound effect in action. The compound effect operates like a savings account earning interest. Your initial deposits seem small, but over time, the interest begins earning interest. In habit formation, each repetition strengthens neural pathways, making future repetitions easier and more automatic. The mathematics are powerful, yet simple to understand. Consider reading habits as an example. Reading 10 pages daily equals 3,650 pages annually, roughly 12 average books. Most people read fewer than 4 books per year. This small daily action compounds into expertise and knowledge that creates career opportunities, better decision-making, and personal growth. The compound curve reveals 3 distinct phases every habit experiences. The struggle phase spans the first few weeks when results remain invisible and motivation feels challenging to maintain. Your brain resists change during this period, making consistency require significant willpower. Marcus struggled through his first month of daily writing. Each morning, producing 200 words felt like climbing a mountain. His progress seemed meaningless, and several times he considered quitting. However, by week 6, something shifted. The writing began flowing more naturally, and ideas came easier. He had entered the breakthrough phase. The breakthrough phase typically occurs between weeks 4 and 12, depending on habit complexity. Neural pathways strengthen, and the behavior begins requiring less conscious effort. This phase brings visible progress and increased motivation, creating positive momentum. How often do you notice the small improvements happening in your life right now? These micro gains often go unrecognized, but represent the compound effect building strength. The mastery phase emerges when habits become automatic and enjoyable. The behavior integrates into your identity, requiring minimal willpower to maintain. At this stage, compound returns accelerate dramatically because consistency becomes effortless. Professional athletes understand compound effects intuitively. A basketball player shooting 100 free throws daily improves incrementally each session. After 1 year, this represents 36,500 practice shots. The cumulative skill improvement far exceeds what any single intense practice session could achieve. Compound visualization helps maintain motivation during the struggle phase. Create a clear mental picture of where your current habits will lead in 5 years. If you save $10 daily, visualize having $18,250 plus interest. If you exercise 20 minutes daily, imagine the fitness level and health benefits awaiting you. Micro-milestone celebrations provide motivation fuel during the compound journey. Instead of waiting for major achievements, celebrate small wins along the way. Completing 1 week of a new habit deserves recognition. These celebrations release dopamine, reinforcing the behavior pattern. Habit stacking for compound effect involves linking habits that amplify each other's benefits. After completing your morning exercise routine, immediately practice meditation. The endorphins from exercise enhance your meditation quality, while meditation improves your recovery and focus for future workouts. Both habits become stronger through this connection. James created a powerful compound stack by linking reading, note-taking, and writing. Each morning he read for 15 minutes, immediately wrote 3 key insights, then spent 10 minutes expanding one insight into a blog post. The reading improved his writing content, the note-taking reinforced learning, and the writing deepened his understanding of what he read. Cross-domain compounding occurs when habits in one life area enhance performance in others. Regular exercise improves sleep quality, which enhances cognitive function, leading to better work performance and decision-making. This creates compound benefits across multiple life domains simultaneously. What connections exist between your current habits that you haven't recognized yet? Identifying these links can accelerate your compound growth significantly. Leading indicators measure compound progress more effectively than lagging results. Instead of focusing on weight loss, track daily healthy meals and exercise sessions. Instead of measuring income increases, monitor daily skill-building activities and networking conversations. Leading indicators provide immediate feedback and maintain motivation. Create a compound tracking system using simple metrics. Track consistency percentages rather than perfect streaks. If you maintain your habit 85% of the time over 3 months, you're building compound momentum. Perfect performance isn't required for compound effects to work. Compound acceleration techniques speed up the compounding process without sacrificing sustainability. Increase habit frequency rather than intensity. Instead of exercising harder, add short movement breaks throughout your day. Instead of reading longer, add audiobooks during commutes. Multiple small touches compound faster than single intense efforts. When setbacks occur, compound recovery strategies help restart momentum quickly. View breaks as brief pauses rather than complete failures. If you miss 3 days of exercise, focus on resuming immediately rather than compensating with intense workouts. The compound effect rewards consistency over perfection. Lisa experienced compound recovery when work stress disrupted her morning routine for 2 weeks. Instead of trying to make up for lost time, she simplified her routine and focused solely on consistency. Within 1 week, she had re-established her habit and continued building compound momentum. Design compound-optimized habit systems by selecting behaviors that create multiple benefits. Choose habits that improve health, productivity, and relationships simultaneously. Morning walks provide exercise, thinking time, and opportunities for phone calls with friends or family members. Calculate compound potential by projecting small improvements over extended time frames. A 1% daily improvement compounds to 37 times better performance over 1 year. This mathematical reality explains why successful people focus on small, consistent actions rather than dramatic gestures. Long-term compound vision sustains motivation through challenging periods. Write a detailed description of where your current habits will lead in 5 years. Include specific outcomes, skills developed, and life changes anticipated. Review this vision regularly, especially during difficult phases. The compound effect operates whether you direct it consciously or not. Negative habits compound just as powerfully as positive ones. Daily complaints compound into chronic negativity. Regular procrastination compounds into missed opportunities and regret. Choose your compounds wisely. Building compound momentum requires patience and faith in the process. The most significant growth occurs when you maintain consistency despite invisible progress. Trust that small actions, repeated daily, create extraordinary results over time. Your future self will thank you for the compound interest you're earning today. Chapter 3: The Friction Formula. Part 1: Making good habits irresistible. The secret to lasting change lies not in forcing yourself through sheer willpower, but in making positive behaviors so appealing that you naturally gravitate toward them. Most people struggle with habits because they rely on discipline and self-control, which are finite resources that inevitably run out. However, when you understand how to engineer genuine desire for beneficial behaviors, habits transform from daily battles into automatic attractions. This approach shifts the entire dynamic from pushing yourself toward positive actions to being pulled by them. By mastering the psychology of attraction and implementing strategic design principles, you can create systems where good habits feel irresistible rather than forced. Think about the last time you picked up your phone to check social media. You didn't need discipline or motivation. The behavior felt automatic and appealing. The same psychological principles that make scrolling through feeds irresistible can be applied to exercise, reading, or any positive habit you want to develop. The foundation of irresistible habits starts with understanding what psychologists call the Premack principle. This concept suggests that high-probability behaviors can reinforce low-probability ones. Netflix discovered this when they noticed viewers would binge-watch shows for hours but struggle to exercise for 30 minutes. The solution became clear. Pair the activity you want to do with the activity you need to do. Sarah, a marketing manager, struggled with her evening workout routine until she implemented advanced temptation bundling. She allowed herself to watch her favorite cooking shows only while walking on her treadmill. Within weeks, she found herself looking forward to exercise time because it meant catching up on her favorite content. The key was creating a rule. Cooking shows could only be watched during workouts. What activities do you currently enjoy that could be paired with habits you're trying to build? This question reveals opportunities for natural bundling that doesn't feel forced or artificial. Digital bundling takes this concept further by leveraging technology. James, a software developer, wanted to read more books but found himself constantly distracted by his phone. He downloaded an audiobook app and created a rule. He could only listen to engaging non-fiction audiobooks while doing household chores. This transformed mundane cleaning tasks into learning opportunities he actively anticipated. Social bundling adds another layer of attraction by incorporating relationships. Maria struggled with consistent morning walks until she arranged to meet her neighbor for daily coffee walks. The social commitment created accountability, while the enjoyable conversation made the exercise feel effortless. The habit persisted even when motivation waned because the social element provided consistent appeal. Modern habit gamification goes beyond simple point systems or streaks. Effective gamification taps into intrinsic motivators like progress, mastery, and purpose. Tom, an accountant trying to establish a meditation habit, used a unique approach. Instead of tracking days or minutes, he tracked his ability to notice when his mind wandered and gently return attention to his breath. Each instance of awareness became a small victory, making meditation sessions feel like skill-building games rather than forced sitting. The key to sustainable gamification lies in focusing on process improvements rather than outcome achievements. This prevents the system from becoming dependent on external rewards while maintaining engagement through genuine skill development. Sensory enhancement transforms habits through environmental design. The smell of fresh coffee can make morning routines more appealing. Soft lighting can make evening reading sessions feel cozy and inviting. Pleasant music can make cleaning or organizing feel enjoyable rather than tedious. Consider how your environment currently supports or hinders your desired habits. Small sensory adjustments often create surprisingly powerful attraction effects. Identity attraction represents the most powerful form of habit appeal. When behaviors align with how you see yourself, they feel natural and authentic. Instead of saying, "I'm trying to exercise more," successful habit builders think, "I'm someone who prioritizes physical health." This subtle shift makes exercise-related decisions feel consistent with personal identity rather than external obligations. Rachel transformed her relationship with healthy eating by viewing herself as someone who honors her body through nutritious choices. This identity shift made meal planning and preparation feel like self-care rather than restriction. The habits became expressions of her values, rather than imposed disciplines. Social attraction leverages community and relationships to make habits more appealing. Online communities, local groups, or even family members can provide the social element that transforms solitary struggles into shared journeys. The key is finding communities that celebrate process and progress rather than perfection and outcomes. When habits lose their appeal over time, refreshing strategies become essential. Variety prevents staleness while maintaining core habit structures. Someone with an established exercise routine might alternate between different workout styles or locations. A consistent reader might rotate between genres or formats. The habit remains stable while the experience stays fresh and engaging. Troubleshooting attraction failures often reveals common patterns. Habits become unappealing when they're too complex, poorly timed, or misaligned with personal values. The solution involves simplification, timing adjustments, or identity realignment rather than increased willpower. What makes you naturally curious or excited in other areas of life? These existing sources of motivation can often be channeled toward the habits you want to develop. Creating sustainable attraction systems requires understanding your unique motivational triggers. Some people respond to visual progress indicators, others to social elements, and still others to learning and skill development. Effective habit design matches attraction strategies to individual preferences, rather than applying universal solutions. The goal isn't to make every positive behavior feel effortless immediately, but to gradually shift the experience from forced discipline to natural attraction. This transformation happens through consistent application of attraction principles, patience with the process, and willingness to experiment with different approaches until you find what genuinely appeals to you. Part 2. Making bad habits invisible. The path from attraction to elimination represents a crucial shift in habit transformation. While making good habits appealing draws us toward positive behaviors, making bad habits invisible removes the very triggers that activate unwanted actions. This strategic approach recognizes a fundamental truth about human behavior. It's often easier to avoid temptation than to resist it. When we design our environment to hide bad habit cues, we eliminate the need for constant willpower and create space for better choices to emerge naturally. This section provides practical strategies for making destructive habits disappear from your daily experience through physical, digital, cognitive, and social invisibility techniques. Sarah used to reach for her phone every time she felt stressed at work. The device sat prominently on her desk, screen facing up, notifications flashing throughout the day. Each ping pulled her attention away from important tasks and into a cycle of mindless scrolling. Her attempts to build self-control had failed repeatedly. Instead of fighting her impulses, Sarah decided to make her phone invisible. She placed it in a drawer, face down, with notifications disabled during work hours. Within a week, her automatic reaching stopped. Without the visual cue triggering the behavior, the habit began to fade. This example illustrates the invisibility principle. Removing triggers often proves more effective than building resistance. Your brain responds to environmental cues before conscious thought kicks in. When these cues disappear, the automatic response weakens naturally. Physical invisibility starts with identifying visual triggers in your environment. Walk through your home and workplace, noting items that prompt unwanted behaviors. That bag of chips on the counter, the cigarettes in your car's cup holder, or the credit cards in your easily accessible wallet, all serve as constant invitations to act. Strategic removal involves completely eliminating problematic items from your immediate environment. If you want to stop eating junk food, don't keep it in your house. If you're trying to reduce impulse purchases, remove shopping apps from your phone's home screen. The key is creating enough friction that the behavior requires deliberate effort rather than automatic response. What physical cues in your current environment are sabotaging your progress toward better habits? Relocation offers a softer approach than complete removal. Move tempting items to inconvenient locations. Place unhealthy snacks in the basement pantry instead of the kitchen counter. Store your gaming console in a closet rather than connected to your main TV. This strategy leverages the principle that small amounts of inconvenience can dramatically reduce impulsive behavior. Replacement involves substituting bad habit triggers with cues for good habits. Where you once kept cigarettes, place a stress ball or chewing gum. Replace the candy bowl on your desk with a bowl of fresh fruit. Swap the position of healthy and unhealthy foods in your refrigerator, making nutritious options more prominent and accessible. Digital invisibility requires special attention in our technology-saturated world. The average person checks their phone 96 times per day, often triggered by visual and auditory cues designed to capture attention. Social media companies invest billions in making their platforms irresistible, but you can fight back with strategic invisibility. App deletion removes the most powerful digital triggers entirely. Delete social media apps, shopping apps, or gaming apps that consume too much time. If complete deletion feels too extreme, move these apps off your home screen into folders buried deep in your phone's interface. Each additional tap required to access the app reduces the likelihood of mindless usage. Notification disabling eliminates the audio and visual interruptions that trigger digital bad habits. Turn off notifications for non-essential apps. Use your phone's Do Not Disturb features during focused work, periods, or family time. Consider switching your phone to grayscale mode, which reduces the visual appeal of colorful app icons and interfaces. Browser modifications can hide online temptations. Use website blockers during work hours, or install browser extensions that hide social media feeds, recommended videos, or shopping suggestions. Change your browser's homepage from a social media site to a simple search engine or productivity tool. Cognitive invisibility involves training your mind to reduce the salience of bad habit triggers that you cannot physically eliminate. When you encounter a trigger you cannot remove, cognitive techniques can diminish its power over your behavior. Attention redirection teaches you to consciously shift focus away from triggering cues. When you notice a cigarette advertisement, immediately direct your attention to something else in your environment. Practice this redirection consistently until it becomes automatic. The goal is to prevent triggering thoughts from taking hold and growing into urges. Cognitive reframing changes how you interpret triggering situations. Instead of viewing a party as an opportunity to drink excessively, reframe it as a chance to practice social skills while sober. Rather than seeing a stressful day as requiring retail therapy, view it as an opportunity to practice healthier stress management techniques. Implementation intentions create pre-planned responses to trigger situations. Complete this sentence. When I encounter trigger, I will alternative behavior. For example, when I feel the urge to check social media during work, I will take 3 deep breaths and return to my current task. These if-then plans help automate positive responses to negative triggers. Social invisibility addresses the reality that other people often trigger our worst habits. Certain relationships, social settings, or group dynamics can make bad habits feel inevitable. Creating social invisibility doesn't mean isolating yourself, but rather strategically managing social triggers. Boundary setting involves communicating your goals to others and requesting support. Tell friends who always suggest expensive restaurants that you're trying to save money. Ask family members not to offer you dessert when you're trying to eat healthier. Clear communication often transforms potential saboteurs into allies. Environment selection means choosing social situations that align with your goals. If you're trying to quit drinking, avoid bars and parties centered around alcohol. If you want to reduce gossiping, spend time with people who engage in positive conversations. You have more control over your social environment than you might realize. How do the people in your life either support or undermine your efforts to change bad habits? Social substitution involves replacing relationships or activities that trigger bad habits with ones that support good habits. Join a hiking group instead of spending time with friends who only want to watch TV. Find a workout partner to replace the colleague who always suggests skipping the gym for happy hour. Graduated invisibility offers a middle path between complete elimination and no change. This approach slowly reduces exposure to triggers rather than eliminating them immediately. If you drink 5 cups of coffee daily, start by removing the coffee maker from the kitchen counter while keeping it in an accessible cabinet. After a week, move it to the pantry. This gradual approach prevents the shock of sudden change while still reducing trigger exposure. Invisibility recovery helps you quickly restore a trigger-free environment after lapses. Create a checklist of invisibility strategies you can implement immediately when you notice old triggers returning to your environment. Keep this list accessible for moments when motivation is high, but time is limited. Common invisibility failures often stem from underestimating environmental influence. Many people believe they should be able to resist any temptation through willpower alone. This mindset leads to keeping triggers present as a test of self-control. Research consistently shows that people with the best self-control actually avoid tempting situations rather than relying on willpower to resist them. Another failure occurs when people create invisibility systems that are too rigid. If you eliminate every possible trigger, you may find yourself unprepared when you encounter them in the real world. The goal is strategic invisibility, not complete isolation from all challenges. Overconfidence in invisibility strategies can also lead to problems. Making triggers invisible is powerful, but it works best when combined with positive habit development. Focus on building good habits while eliminating bad ones for the most comprehensive transformation. The Trigger Audit Worksheet helps identify all cues prompting unwanted behaviors. For 1 week, carry a small notebook and record every instance of a bad habit, noting what triggered it. Look for patterns in time, location, emotional state, and social context. This data reveals which triggers appear most frequently and have the strongest influence on your behavior. The Invisibility Action Plan translates audit results into concrete changes. Categorize each trigger as physical, digital, cognitive, or social, then apply appropriate invisibility strategies. Start with the most frequent and powerful triggers for maximum impact. Implement changes gradually to avoid overwhelming yourself with too many environmental modifications at once. Making bad habits invisible creates space for good habits to flourish, while reducing the mental energy required to resist temptation. This approach works with your brain's natural tendencies rather than against them, making positive change feel more sustainable and less dependent on fluctuating willpower levels. Part 3. The 2-Minute Rule Revolution. The 2-minute rule changes everything about how we approach new habits. Instead of forcing ourselves into hour-long commitments that feel overwhelming, this approach reduces any habit to just 2 minutes of action. What seems almost too simple actually works because it removes the mental resistance that kills most habit attempts before they begin. This method transforms the way we think about starting, maintaining, and growing positive behaviors by working with our brain's natural preferences rather than against them. Sarah struggled with meditation for years. Every attempt started with ambitious 20-minute sessions that lasted exactly 3 days. When she discovered the 2-minute rule, she committed to sitting quietly for just 2 minutes each morning. 6 months later, her practice naturally expanded to 15 minutes daily without any forced effort. The secret lies in understanding how our brains process new behaviors and why starting impossibly small creates lasting change. The science behind the 2-minute rule centers on activation energy. Every behavior requires a certain amount of mental and physical energy to begin. Complex habits demand high activation energy, triggering resistance and procrastination. Simple habits require minimal activation energy, making them easy to start. When we reduce any habit to 2 minutes, we lower the activation energy below our resistance threshold. Consider John's fitness journey. His previous attempts involved hour-long gym sessions that felt insurmountable after work. Using the 2-minute rule, he committed to putting on his running shoes each day. This micro-habit required almost no energy, but created the momentum for larger actions. Most days, putting on shoes led to a walk around the block, then longer walks, and eventually regular exercise routines. Micro-habit architecture involves breaking complex behaviors into their essential 2-minute components. Reading more books becomes reading 1 page. Learning guitar becomes holding the instrument. Writing a novel becomes opening a document and typing 1 sentence. The key is maintaining the habit's core identity while removing every possible barrier to starting. What makes you feel most resistant when starting new habits? Understanding your personal resistance patterns helps design more effective micro-habits. Some people resist physical preparation, others struggle with mental switching, and many find location changes challenging. Effective microhabits address your specific resistance points. Progressive 2-minute scaling prevents the common mistake of expanding too quickly. Once your 2-minute habit feels automatic, typically after 2 to 4 weeks, you can gradually increase duration or complexity. The expansion should feel natural, not forced. If resistance returns, scale back to the previous level until consistency returns. Maria wanted to learn Spanish but kept abandoning language apps after ambitious start. She applied progressive scaling by beginning with 2 minutes of vocabulary review. After 3 weeks, this felt effortless, so she expanded to 5 minutes. 2 months later, she naturally progressed to 10-minute lessons. The key was letting internal motivation drive expansion rather than external pressure. Advanced variations adapt the rule to different situations and personality types. The 30-second rule works for extremely resistant habits or very busy periods. Simply showing up at your designated habit location for 30 seconds can maintain momentum during challenging times. The 5-minute rule suits habits that need slightly more time to feel meaningful, like journaling or stretching. The flexible duration rule acknowledges that energy levels vary daily. Instead of rigid time commitments, you choose from preset options: 2 minutes on low-energy days, 5 minutes on moderate days, and 10 minutes when feeling great. This flexibility prevents all-or-nothing thinking that destroys consistency. Compound 2-minute rules create powerful habit chains by linking multiple micro-habits. After completing one 2-minute habit, you immediately begin another. This approach builds comprehensive life systems efficiently. For example, wake up, make bed, 2 minutes. Meditate, 2 minutes. Write in gratitude journal, 2 minutes. Drink water, 30 seconds. Each action flows naturally into the next. Contextual 2-minute rules adapt to different environments and schedules. Your home version might involve reading for 2 minutes after coffee. Your travel version could be reading for 2 minutes after checking into hotels. Your office version might be reading for 2 minutes during lunch break. Maintaining the same micro-habit across contexts builds stronger neural pathways. How do your daily environments change, and how might these changes affect your habits? Designing contextual versions ensures consistency regardless of location or circumstances. This preparation prevents the excuse of changed circumstances from derailing progress. Identity-based 2-minute rules connect micro-habits to desired identity rather than just behaviors. Instead of thinking, "I need to exercise for 2 minutes," you think, "I am someone who moves their body daily." This subtle shift creates internal alignment between actions and self-concept, making habits feel more authentic and sustainable. Recovery becomes simpler with 2-minute rules. After missing days or weeks, returning to full habit intensity feels overwhelming. Returning to 2-minute versions feels manageable and rebuilds momentum quickly. This recovery approach prevents small lapses from becoming permanent abandonment. Common implementation mistakes include making 2-minute habits too complex, expanding too quickly, or focusing on outcomes rather than consistency. The most effective micro-habits feel almost ridiculously easy. If you feel any resistance, the habit needs further simplification. Success comes from repetition, not intensity. Tom tried to implement a 2-minute writing habit but included opening his laptop, launching software, reviewing previous work, and then writing. This seemingly simple habit actually contained multiple steps that created resistance. He simplified to opening a notebook and writing one sentence. This true micro-habit stuck immediately and grew naturally. The 2-minute rule succeeds because it builds positive associations with new behaviors while avoiding negative ones. Each successful completion creates satisfaction and confidence. Each missed opportunity feels minor rather than devastating. This emotional foundation supports long-term habit development better than discipline-based approaches. Implementation framework. 1. Choose one desired habit. 2. Reduce to absolutely essential 2-minute version. 3. Commit to daily practice for 2 weeks minimum. 4. Track completion, not quality or duration. 5. Only expand when current version feels automatic. 6. Design recovery protocol for missed days. Your microhabits should feel so easy that skipping them seems harder than doing them. This psychological tipping point creates sustainable change that grows naturally over time. The 2-minute rule transforms habit formation from a battle against resistance into a gentle building process that works with human nature rather than against it. Part 4. Habit stacking for busy lives. Modern professionals face a common challenge. They want to build positive habits but struggle to find time or mental space in their packed schedules. Traditional habit formation advice often assumes unlimited time and energy, leaving busy individuals feeling frustrated and unsuccessful. This section transforms habit stacking into a practical tool for real-world constraints. You'll discover how to create powerful habit chains that work with your existing schedule, energy patterns, and unpredictable demands. These advanced stacking techniques maximize every available moment while building comprehensive life improvements that actually stick, regardless of how chaotic your days become. The key to successful habit stacking lies in working with your natural rhythms rather than against them. Consider Sarah, a marketing director who tried to build a morning routine that included meditation, exercise, journaling, and healthy breakfast preparation. Within a week, she abandoned the entire sequence because one late night or early meeting destroyed the whole chain. Her mistake was creating a rigid system that ignored the reality of her fluctuating schedule. Contextual stacking transforms this approach by anchoring new habits to existing behaviors and natural transition points. Instead of forcing artificial sequences, you identify moments when your brain is already primed for routine behavior. After you brush your teeth becomes a powerful trigger because toothbrushing is already automatic. After you close your laptop for lunch creates a natural bridge between work and personal time. The most effective contextual stacks feel inevitable rather than imposed. When you walk through your front door after work, you automatically change clothes. This transition moment offers perfect stacking opportunities. You might stack putting on comfortable clothes, then placing your phone in a charging station, then writing 3 things you accomplished that day. Each action flows naturally into the next because they all belong to the same context of transitioning from work mode to home mode. Energy-based stacking recognizes that your capacity fluctuates throughout the day. High cognitive habits like learning new skills or planning require peak mental energy, typically in the morning for most people. Physical habits like stretching or organizing can happen when mental energy is lower. Low-effort habits like listening to podcasts or doing breathing exercises work well during energy valleys. Consider how this applies to your typical Tuesday. Are you sharp and focused at 7 a.m. but mentally drained by 6 p.m.? Design your stacks accordingly. Morning stacks might include reviewing goals, reading industry articles, or practicing a new skill. Evening stacks could focus on physical restoration, like gentle stretching, preparing for tomorrow, or connecting with family members. What would happen if you could maintain positive habits even during your most chaotic weeks? This is where flexible stacking becomes essential. Instead of creating single-option chains, you design multiple versions of the same basic sequence. Your full morning stack might include meditation, exercise, and journaling. Your compressed version covers just 2 minutes of breathing and writing 1 sentence of gratitude. Your emergency version simply involves drinking a glass of water while setting 1 intention for the day. A successful flexible stack includes 3 versions: full, medium, and minimal. The full version runs when you have adequate time and energy. The medium version activates when you're moderately pressed. The minimal version ensures you maintain momentum even during crisis periods. This prevents the all-or-nothing thinking that destroys habit formation during busy seasons. Cross-domain stacking creates powerful synergies by linking habits from different life areas. Instead of treating health, work, and relationships as separate categories, you design stacks that improve multiple domains simultaneously. After you finish your morning coffee, you might call one family member while walking to your car. This single chain strengthens relationships and increases physical activity within your existing routine. The most transformative cross-domain stacks address multiple needs with single actions. Cooking dinner while listening to educational podcasts improves nutrition and learning. Walking meetings combine physical activity with professional productivity. Reading bedtime stories to children strengthens family bonds while creating your own reading habit. How might your current habits already connect different life areas without you realizing it? This awareness helps you identify existing cross-domain opportunities and design new ones that feel natural rather than forced. Emergency stacks provide your minimum viable routine during extremely demanding periods. These ultra-streamlined sequences maintain habit momentum when everything else falls apart. Your emergency stack might simply involve drinking water, taking 3 deep breaths, and writing 1 sentence in a notebook. These tiny actions preserve your identity as someone who takes care of themselves, even during crisis periods. Weekend stacks acknowledge that different days require different approaches. Weekdays might emphasize efficiency and energy management, while weekends allow for more expansive routines. Your Saturday morning stack could include longer meditation, elaborate breakfast preparation, and extended planning sessions that would be impossible on Wednesday mornings. Stack failures typically happen at predictable points. Broken links occur when one habit in the sequence becomes impossible, destroying the entire chain. Overwhelming complexity develops when stacks become too elaborate or numerous. Stack decay happens when initial enthusiasm fades and sequences gradually shrink or disappear. Recovery strategies address each failure mode directly. For broken links, design bypass routes that maintain momentum when specific habits become impossible. If you can't exercise in the morning, have a backup stack that flows from coffee to stretching to planning your day. For overwhelming complexity, regularly audit your stacks and eliminate elements that add stress rather than value. For stack decay, schedule monthly reviews to refresh and recommit to your chosen sequences. The Daily Rhythm Mapper helps you identify natural stacking opportunities by tracking your existing routines and energy patterns for 1 week. Note what you do automatically and when you feel most capable of different types of activities. These insights reveal the optimal anchor points for new habit stacks. Daily Rhythm Mapping Process. 1. Track existing automatic behaviors for 7 days. 2. Note energy levels every 2 hours, 1:10 scale. Identify natural transition points in your day. 4. Mark moments when you're waiting or have micro breaks. Observe which activities naturally cluster together. 6. Document what disrupts your typical patterns. The Stack Design Canvas provides a framework for creating robust habit chains that enhance rather than complicate your life. Start by identifying your anchor habit, something you already do consistently. Then add one complementary behavior that naturally fits the same context and energy level. Test this 2-habit chain for at least 1 week before adding any additional elements. Successful habit stacking for busy lives requires patience with the design process and willingness to adjust based on real-world testing. Your first attempt will rarely be perfect, but each iteration teaches you more about your own patterns and preferences. The goal is creating systems that feel supportive rather than demanding, making positive change feel inevitable rather than forced. Chapter 4. The Momentum Machine. Part 1. Tracking without obsessing. Master the delicate balance between awareness and obsession through smart tracking systems that fuel motivation without becoming burdensome. This section reveals how measurement can serve as your ally rather than your master, teaching you to capture just enough data to maintain momentum while avoiding the perfectionist trap that destroys habits. You'll discover minimalist tracking approaches that provide maximum insight with minimal effort. Learn to adapt your tracking methods to different life phases and develop systems that support rather than stress you. From simple checkmarks to sophisticated metrics, find your optimal tracking style that keeps you engaged without overwhelming your daily routine. Sarah checked off her workout box every morning for 3 weeks. Then she missed a day. Instead of simply resuming, she stared at the broken chain and quit entirely. Her tracking system, meant to motivate, had become a prison of perfectionism. Effective habit tracking walks a fine line between helpful awareness and destructive obsession. The goal is not perfect data collection, but sustainable motivation and gentle accountability. Think of tracking like a dashboard in your car. You need to know your speed and fuel level, but you don't stare at every gauge constantly while driving. The most successful habit trackers embrace minimalism. They identify the smallest amount of data that provides the maximum insight. For a reading habit, this might be a simple checkmark rather than pages read, minutes spent, or comprehension scores. For exercise, it could be worked out versus detailed sets, reps, and weights. Consider Marcus, who tried tracking his morning routine with 15 different metrics. He logged wake-up time, water intake, meditation minutes, exercise duration, breakfast quality, and 10 other variables. Within a week, the tracking took longer than the actual habits. He simplified to 3 essential checkmarks: meditation, exercise, and healthy breakfast. His consistency improved immediately. What would happen if you could only track 3 things about your most important habit? Which metrics would truly matter? Different habits require different tracking approaches. Physical habits like exercise or diet often benefit from simple presence tracking rather than performance metrics. Mental habits like meditation or journaling work well with time-based tracking. Social habits might track frequency of connection rather than quality measures. The medium matters as much as the method. Digital apps offer convenience and automated tracking, but can create comparison pressure and notification overload. Physical journals provide tactile satisfaction and prevent endless metric tweaking, but require manual effort. Environmental tracking, like leaving workout clothes out or keeping a book visible, captures intention without active measurement. Jennifer discovered her tracking sweet spot through experimentation. She tried detailed fitness apps that left her feeling inadequate when comparing to others. She switched to a simple paper calendar where she drew a small heart for each day she moved her body joyfully. The symbol captured both the action and the positive emotion, making tracking feel celebratory rather than judgmental. Contextual tracking adapts to your current life phase and circumstances. During busy periods, tracking might become ultra-minimal. During stable periods, you might add more detail for insight. The key is matching your tracking intensity to your available mental bandwidth. Advanced practitioners use tracking rotation to maintain engagement. They might track daily for a month, then switch to weekly summaries, then return to daily tracking with different metrics. This prevents tracking fatigue while maintaining awareness. Invisible tracking captures progress without conscious effort. This might include using step counters, automatic app usage monitoring, or environmental cues that naturally reflect habit completion. These methods provide feedback without requiring daily attention. How could you make tracking so simple that you barely notice you're doing it? Common tracking mistakes derail even well-intentioned efforts. Tracking too many habits creates decision paralysis and administrative burden. Making tracking too complex turns it into a separate habit that requires motivation. Using tracking as punishment rather than neutral feedback breeds resentment and avoidance. The perfectionism trap catches many habit trackers. They believe a missed day means failure and abandon their entire system. Successful trackers treat missed days like typos in a book. Unfortunate, but not reason to burn the entire manuscript. They focus on getting back on track rather than maintaining perfect streaks. Recovery from tracking breaks requires predetermined protocols. When you miss tracking for several days, resist the urge to catch up or quit entirely. Simply resume from today. If tracking feels overwhelming after a break, temporarily simplify your system until momentum returns. Tom developed a good enough philosophy for his habit tracking. He tracked his reading habit with a simple in-text box on his phone's note app. Some days he forgot to check the box even though he read. Some days he checked it for reading just a few pages. The imperfect system worked better than previous elaborate spreadsheets because it remained sustainable during busy periods. Long-term tracking motivation requires evolution. As habits become automatic, detailed tracking becomes less necessary. You might transition from daily checkmarks to weekly reviews or seasonal assessments. The tracking system should shrink as the habit strength grows. Seasonal tracking adjustments account for natural life rhythms. Winter tracking might focus on maintenance, while summer tracking might emphasize growth. Work-busy seasons might require minimal tracking, while vacation periods allow more detailed observation. Consider creating tracking experiments rather than permanent systems. Try a method for 30 days, then evaluate its effectiveness. Did it increase motivation or create stress? Did it provide useful insights or meaningless data? Adjust based on actual experience rather than theoretical ideals. The most powerful tracking systems feel supportive rather than supervisory. They celebrate consistency over perfection, progress over performance, and awareness over judgment. When tracking enhances your relationship with your habits rather than complicating it, you've found your optimal approach. Your tracking system should serve your habits, not the other way around. The moment tracking becomes more important than the habit itself, it's time to simplify or step back. Remember, the goal is building sustainable life changes, not collecting perfect data. Part 2. The Plateau Breakthrough Strategy. Plateaus represent inevitable phases in every habit journey where progress appears to stall despite consistent effort. Rather than signaling failure, these periods offer valuable opportunities for consolidation and strategic adjustment. Understanding plateau dynamics allows you to prepare breakthrough strategies before stagnation occurs, maintaining momentum through natural learning cycles. This knowledge transforms frustrating stuck periods into productive phases of refinement and preparation for the next growth wave. You'll learn to predict, prepare for, and strategically break through different plateau types while building resilience for long-term habit success. The science behind plateaus reveals why they occur naturally in skill development and habit formation. Your brain creates neural pathways that become increasingly efficient as habits strengthen. Initially, this efficiency creates rapid improvement and visible progress. However, as pathways optimize, the rate of noticeable change decreases even though important consolidation continues happening beneath the surface. Consider Maria, who started running daily and progressed from struggling with 10 minutes to easily completing 30-minute runs within 2 months. Suddenly, her improvements seemed to stop. She couldn't run longer or faster despite consistent effort. This plateau frustrated her until she learned that her body was adapting to new demands, building deeper cardiovascular efficiency and muscle memory that would support future breakthroughs. 3 distinct plateau types require different breakthrough approaches. Skill plateaus occur when your current methods no longer produce improvement. Your running speed stagnates, your meditation focus doesn't deepen, or your writing quality remains static. These plateaus signal the need for technique refinement or method variation. Motivation plateaus involve decreased enthusiasm despite continued habit performance. You still exercise daily but feel less energized about it. The initial excitement has worn off, and the activity feels routine rather than rewarding. These plateaus require renewal strategies and motivation system adjustments. Progress plateaus happen when external markers stop improving, while internal changes continue. Your weight remains stable despite consistent healthy eating, or your writing output stays constant despite daily practice. These plateaus often indicate that deeper, less visible improvements are occurring. How would you recognize which plateau type you're currently experiencing in your own habits? Plateau prediction involves recognizing early warning signs before stagnation fully sets in. Progress typically slows gradually rather than stopping suddenly. You might notice that improvements require more effort than before, or that sessions feel less engaging despite consistent execution. Tracking patterns often reveal plateau approaches weeks before they become obvious. The key lies in monitoring not just primary metrics, but also secondary indicators. If you're building a writing habit, don't only track word count. Notice changes in your enthusiasm level, the effort required to start writing, the quality of ideas flowing, and your satisfaction with completed work. These signals often predict plateaus before word count stagnates. Progressive overload for habits applies strength training principles to habit development. Just as muscles need increasing resistance to grow stronger, habits need evolving challenges to continue improving. This doesn't mean making habits harder arbitrarily, but rather systematically introducing complexity, depth, or breadth as current levels become comfortable. James built a reading habit starting with 10 minutes daily. After 2 months, 10 minutes felt effortless, but simply increasing to 20 minutes felt overwhelming. Instead, he applied progressive overload by varying his approach. Some days he read for longer periods, others he focused on more challenging material, and occasionally he wrote brief summaries. This variation maintained growth without dramatic difficulty increases. Lateral development offers breakthrough strategies when vertical progress stalls. Instead of trying to go deeper in the same direction, expand your habit sideways. If your meditation practice feels stuck, Explore different techniques rather than forcing longer sessions. If your exercise routine plateaus, try new activities rather than just increasing intensity. This approach keeps habits fresh while building complementary skills. A writer experiencing plateau might explore different genres, experiment with various writing tools, or join writing communities rather than simply trying to write more words daily. Plateau reframing transforms psychological relationship with stagnation periods. Instead of viewing plateaus as evidence of failure or lack of progress, recognize them as consolidation phases where deeper integration occurs. Your brain and body are processing previous improvements, creating stable foundations for future growth. Think of plateaus like rest periods between workout sets. They're not wasted time but necessary recovery that enables the next period of intense effort. This reframe reduces frustration and maintains motivation during challenging phases. What if you viewed your current plateau as preparation for your next breakthrough rather than evidence of stagnation? Cross-training for habits involves using complementary activities to break through specific plateaus. If your primary habit feels stuck, engage related activities that support the same underlying goals. A language learning plateau might break through conversation practice, cultural immersion activities, or teaching others rather than additional textbook study. This strategy works because different activities stimulate various aspects of the same skill set. Musicians often break practice plateaus by studying theory, listening to different genres, or playing with other musicians rather than simply practicing more scales. Plateau cycling represents an advanced strategy where you deliberately create and break plateaus for long-term growth. This involves periodically scaling back habit intensity to build anticipation and renewed motivation, then returning with fresh energy and perspective. Athletes use this principle through periodization, varying training intensity to prevent burnout and maximize long-term performance. You might apply this by taking planned breaks from habit tracking, trying completely different approaches for set periods, or temporarily reducing habit complexity. Maintaining motivation during extended plateaus requires specific strategies beyond simple persistence. Focus on process metrics rather than outcome measures. Celebrate consistency, technique improvements, and maintain momentum rather than only external results. Create plateau-specific reward systems that acknowledge different types of progress. If your fitness plateau prevents weight loss, celebrate maintained energy levels, improved sleep quality, or consistent exercise completion. These internal rewards maintain motivation when external measures stagnate. The Plateau Diagnostic Checklist helps identify specific plateau types and appropriate responses. First, determine whether you're experiencing skill, motivation, or progress plateaus by examining which aspects feel stuck. Next, identify how long the plateau has lasted and whether it coincides with other life changes. Finally, assess whether your current approach needs modification or whether patience and persistence are most appropriate. Breakthrough action plans provide systematic responses for each plateau type. Skill plateaus require technique analysis, method variation, or expert guidance. Motivation plateaus need renewal activities, reward system updates, or social connection increases. Progress plateaus often resolve through patience, metric adjustments, or focus shifts to process improvements. Remember that plateaus serve important functions in habit development. They provide integration time, prevent burnout, and create opportunities for system refinement. Rather than obstacles to overcome, view them as natural phases in sustainable habit formation that strengthen your long-term success foundation. Part 3. Social Accountability Systems. Building sustainable habits becomes significantly easier when you have others supporting your journey. Social accountability harnesses the natural human desire for connection and approval to strengthen habit formation. However, the key lies in creating supportive systems that motivate without becoming sources of pressure or shame. Understanding how to design, maintain, and evolve accountability relationships can transform isolated struggles into shared victories. This approach recognizes that while habits are personal, the journey toward change doesn't have to be lonely. The right accountability system provides encouragement during difficult moments, celebrates progress, and offers perspective when challenges arise. Social accountability works because humans are inherently social creatures who care about their reputation and relationships. When we make commitments to others, we activate additional motivation beyond personal goals. This external pressure, when properly structured, complements internal motivation rather than replacing it. Consider Sarah, a marketing executive who struggled with morning exercise for years. She consistently failed when relying solely on personal motivation. However, when she arranged to meet her neighbor for daily walks, she maintained the habit for 8 months. The simple act of knowing someone was waiting for her created enough additional motivation to overcome her resistance to early mornings. The psychology behind this success involves several mechanisms. Public commitment increases what researchers call commitment consistency, our desire to act in ways that align with our stated intentions. When others know about our goals, failing feels more significant than private lapses. Additionally, social support provides encouragement during difficult moments and celebration during successes, both of which strengthen habit formation. Accountability partner design. Selecting the right accountability partner requires careful consideration of compatibility, communication style, and mutual goals. The most effective partnerships involve people who share similar commitment levels, but may have different specific habits. Mike and James exemplify effective accountability partnership design. Both wanted to improve their health, but through different methods. Mike focused on diet changes, while James emphasized exercise. They checked in weekly, sharing progress and challenges without judgment. Their different approaches actually strengthened their partnership because they could offer fresh perspectives on each other's struggles. How well do you know your potential accountability partner's communication preferences and availability? Successful partnerships require alignment on practical details like meeting frequency, communication methods, and response expectations. Some people prefer daily check-ins, while others function better with weekly reviews. Some respond well to direct feedback, while others need gentler encouragement. The most effective accountability partnerships establish clear communication protocols from the beginning. This includes deciding how to share progress, what constitutes supportive feedback, and how to handle periods when one partner struggles more than the other. These conversations prevent misunderstandings that can damage both the relationship and habit progress. Professional accountability through coaches, trainers, or mentors offers structured expertise that friends or family cannot provide. Sarah's walking partner provided social motivation, but when she wanted to progress to running, she hired a running coach who could offer technical guidance alongside accountability. This professional relationship gave her both external structure and expert knowledge to avoid injury and progress effectively. Community-based accountability. Joining or creating groups focused on similar habits amplifies accountability through collective energy and shared experiences. Online communities, local clubs, and workplace groups all provide different flavors of community accountability. Consider the Community Garden Project in downtown Portland. Residents committed to maintaining individual plots while supporting the overall garden. This created multiple layers of accountability, personal responsibility for their own plants, commitment to the group's success, and visibility to neighbors. The result was a 90% retention rate compared to 30% for individual home gardens in the same neighborhood. Digital accountability through apps and online communities offers convenience and anonymity when needed. However, these platforms require careful navigation to avoid comparison traps and maintain genuine support rather than superficial competition. The most effective digital accountability systems focus on process sharing rather than outcome comparison. What type of community energy motivates you most? Intimate small groups or larger, more diverse communities? Understanding your preference helps you choose accountability systems that provide support rather than additional stress. Graduated accountability systems. The ultimate goal of external accountability is building internal motivation strong enough to sustain habits independently. This requires gradually reducing external support as internal systems strengthen. Think of it like training wheels on a bicycle, essential initially but counterproductive if used too long. Tom's weight loss journey illustrates graduated accountability perfectly. He started with daily check-ins with his accountability partner, weekly weigh-ins with a trainer, and daily food logging in a group app. After 6 months of consistent progress, he reduced partner check-ins to twice weekly and trainer meetings to bi-weekly. After a year, he maintained his habits with monthly trainer sessions and occasional partner conversations. This gradual reduction allowed his internal motivation to develop while maintaining safety nets. Avoiding accountability pitfalls. Common accountability mistakes can undermine habit formation rather than support it. Choosing incompatible partners, creating shame-based systems, or becoming overly dependent on external validation all sabotage long-term success. Shame-based accountability creates motivation through fear and guilt rather than support and encouragement. This approach may work temporarily, but often leads to habit abandonment when the external pressure becomes overwhelming or unavailable. Jennifer learned this lesson when her accountability partner used criticism and disappointment to motivate her. Initially, this fear-based approach drove her to maintain her morning routine, but it also created anxiety around her habits that eventually led to complete abandonment. Healthy accountability systems focus on support, understanding, and problem-solving rather than judgment. When setbacks occur, effective accountability partners help identify solutions rather than assign blame. They celebrate progress regardless of pace and provide encouragement during difficult periods. Building backup accountability systems ensures continuity when primary support sources become unavailable. Life changes, relationships evolve, and circumstances shift. Having multiple, flexible accountability sources prevents total system failure when individual elements change. The most resilient accountability systems combine multiple elements, perhaps a primary accountability partner, a supportive community, and occasional professional guidance. This diversity ensures that habit support continues even when specific relationships or circumstances change, creating sustainable motivation that adapts to life's natural fluctuations. Part 4. Recovery protocols for setbacks. Setbacks in habit formation are not character flaws or personal failures. They are predictable events that happen to everyone attempting meaningful change. The difference between people who succeed long-term and those who abandon their habits lies not in avoiding setbacks, but in how quickly and effectively they recover from them. This section provides proven recovery protocols that transform inevitable lapses into learning opportunities, helping you bounce back stronger and faster than before. You'll discover immediate response strategies, emotional resilience techniques, and systematic approaches that prevent single missed days from derailing months of progress. Sarah had maintained her morning workout routine for 4 months straight. Then came a week of travel for work, followed by her daughter's illness, and suddenly she hadn't exercised in 2 weeks. Sitting on her couch, she felt the familiar spiral of guilt and shame that had ended previous attempts at fitness. The voice in her head whispered that she had ruined everything and should just give up. This moment represents the critical junction where habits either die or become stronger. The psychology of setbacks reveals why they feel so devastating. Our brains are wired to interpret broken streaks as complete failures rather than temporary interruptions. When we miss a habit, we experience what researchers call the "what the hell" effect. If we've already broken our perfect record, why not abandon the effort entirely? This thinking transforms a minor lapse into a major relapse. Understanding the difference between lapses and relapses changes everything. A lapse is missing your habit for 1 to 3 days due to specific circumstances like illness, travel, or unexpected events. A relapse is abandoning the habit entirely, often accompanied by the belief that you've failed and should quit. Sarah's 2-week break was still a lapse, not a relapse, because the circumstances were temporary and specific. What thoughts go through your mind when you miss a habit? Do you treat it as evidence of personal weakness or as a normal part of the change process? The first 24 hours after missing a habit determine whether you experience rapid recovery or extended derailment. Emergency recovery protocols provide immediate actions that prevent single lapses from expanding. The most effective immediate response is the next smallest step technique. Instead of attempting to resume your full habit, identify the absolute smallest version you can do immediately. When Sarah finally decided to restart, she didn't attempt a full workout. She put on her workout clothes. That's it. The next day, she did 5 push-ups in her living room. By day 3, she was back at the gym. This gradual re-entry prevented the all-or-nothing thinking that destroys momentum. Recovery acceleration techniques help you regain momentum faster than the original habit formation period. Your brain retains neural pathways from previous habit performance, making restoration quicker than initial creation. However, this only works when you restart within a reasonable time frame and avoid harsh self-criticism that interferes with neural reactivation. The 2-day rule provides a simple framework for setback recovery. Never allow yourself to miss the same habit 2 days in a row. Miss 1 day due to circumstances, but always perform some version of the habit on day 2, no matter how small. This rule prevents the momentum loss that turns lapses into relapses, while acknowledging that perfect consistency is unrealistic. Setback analysis transforms failures into learning opportunities. Within a week of any lapse lasting more than 2 days, conduct a systematic review of what went wrong. Look for patterns in timing, triggers, circumstances, and emotional states that preceded the setback. Sarah discovered that her setbacks always followed periods of high work stress combined with family obligations, giving her specific areas to plan for in the future. The analysis process involves 3 questions. What specific circumstances led to missing the habit? What early warning signs did I ignore? What systems or supports could have prevented this setback? This investigation mindset replaces shame with curiosity, transforming setbacks into valuable data for system improvement. How could you modify your environment or schedule to make setbacks less likely in the future? Emotional recovery from setbacks requires addressing the guilt, shame, and motivation loss that accompany habit breaks. These emotions are often more damaging than the missed habits themselves. Perfectionism becomes the enemy of progress, creating an all-or-nothing mindset that views any imperfection as complete failure. Self-compassion techniques help manage the emotional aftermath of setbacks. Treat yourself with the same kindness you would show a good friend facing similar challenges. Research demonstrates that self-compassion actually increases motivation and resilience compared to self-criticism, which typically leads to giving up entirely. The reset ritual provides a ceremonial way to move past setbacks and restart habits. Create a simple routine that symbolically closes the setback period and opens a new beginning. This might involve writing down lessons learned, updating your tracking system, or making a recommitment statement. The ritual creates psychological closure and fresh start momentum. Advanced recovery protocols include building anti-fragile habit systems that become stronger after setbacks. This involves deliberately stress testing your habits by planning for likely disruptions and creating backup systems. Instead of hoping setbacks won't happen, prepare for them systematically. Prevention protocols reduce setback frequency and severity. Identify your 3 most common setback triggers and create specific action plans for each. If travel typically disrupts your routine, plan modified versions of your habits that work in hotels or different time zones. If stress causes emotional eating, develop alternative stress management techniques that you can implement immediately. The accountability system you built continues providing support during setbacks. Effective accountability partners help normalize setbacks as part of the change process rather than evidence of failure. They provide perspective when you're caught in shame spirals and practical help for getting back on track. Recovery protocols work best when predetermined rather than improvised during vulnerable moments. Create written emergency action plans for different types of setbacks. Post-illness recovery differs from post-travel recovery, which differs from motivation loss recovery. Having specific protocols removes decision-making stress when you're already struggling. Building backup systems ensures continuity when primary habit systems fail. If your morning routine depends on a specific gym that closes unexpectedly, have home workout alternatives ready. If your accountability partner becomes unavailable, know who else you can contact for support. Redundancy prevents single points of failure from destroying entire habit systems. The most successful habit maintainers view setbacks as temporary detours rather than permanent roadblocks. They expect setbacks, plan for them, and respond with systematic recovery protocols rather than emotional reactions. This mindset shift transforms the entire experience of habit formation from a perfect performance requirement into a learning and adaptation process that naturally accommodates life's inevitable disruptions. Chapter 5. The Digital Age Advantage. Part 1. Tech-enabled habit formation. Modern technology offers powerful tools for building better habits, but the key lies in choosing wisely and using them strategically. This section reveals how to harness digital innovation while avoiding the traps of tech addiction and distraction. You'll discover smart tracking methods that work automatically, artificial intelligence coaching that adapts to your unique patterns, and ways to design your digital environment for success. We'll explore automation techniques that make good habits effortless and bad habits harder, plus advanced methods using health data to optimize your approach. Most importantly, you'll learn to maintain control over technology rather than letting it control you. Maria struggled with her morning routine for years. She would set phone alarms, write notes, and make promises to herself, but nothing stuck. Then she discovered smart home automation. Now her coffee maker starts brewing when her fitness tracker detects she's awake, her phone automatically switches to a calming playlist, and her smart lights gradually brighten to simulate sunrise. The technology handles the logistics while she focuses on actually doing the habits. Smart habit tracking represents a major shift from manual logging to automatic monitoring. Your smartphone already tracks steps, sleep patterns, and app usage without any effort from you. Wearable devices monitor heart rate, stress levels, and movement throughout the day. Smart home sensors can detect when you enter certain rooms or complete specific actions. The power lies in passive data collection. Instead of remembering to log every habit, the technology works in the background. Your fitness tracker knows whether you exercised. Your phone knows if you open social media apps during your designated focus time. Your smart scale records weight changes automatically. Consider James, a busy executive who wanted to reduce stress through meditation. His smartwatch detected elevated stress levels and would suggest brief breathing exercises at optimal moments. The device learned his patterns and discovered he was most receptive to these suggestions right after morning meetings. This personalized timing made the habit stick where previous attempts had failed. Artificial intelligence takes habit formation beyond simple tracking into truly personalized coaching. AI systems analyze your unique patterns, identify what works for you specifically, and adapt their recommendations over time. They can predict when you're likely to skip a habit and intervene with targeted support. Modern AI coaching apps learn from your successes and failures. They notice that you exercise consistently on Tuesday mornings, but struggle on Fridays. They observe that you eat healthier when you prepare meals Sunday evening versus rushing Monday morning. These insights become the foundation for personalized strategies. Rachel used an AI-powered habit app to build a reading routine. The system analyzed her schedule and energy patterns, discovering she had highest focus between 2 to 3 p.m. on weekdays. It suggested moving her reading habit to this window instead of evenings when she was exhausted. The AI also learned she preferred shorter reading sessions on busy days and longer ones on weekends, adjusting reminders accordingly. What specific patterns in your current routine could an AI system help you identify and optimize? Digital environment design transforms your devices from sources of distraction into supporters of positive habits. This involves strategic changes to your smartphone, computer, and smart home setup that make good choices easier and bad choices harder. Start with your smartphone's home screen. Remove apps that encourage mindless scrolling. Place habit-supporting apps in prime locations. Use app timers to automatically limit access to distracting content during important habit windows. Many people discover that simply moving social media apps off their home screen reduces usage by 40 to 50%. Your computer environment matters equally. Set up automatic website blockers during focus times. Create desktop shortcuts for habit-related resources. Use calendar automation to block time for important habits. Configure email and messaging apps to respect your habit schedule rather than interrupting constantly. Smart home integration amplifies these effects. Program lights to dim automatically during evening wind-down routines. Set thermostats to create optimal conditions for sleep habits. Use voice assistants to start morning routines with simple commands. The goal is reducing friction for positive behaviors while adding friction for negative ones. Tom wanted to reduce late-night phone usage that disrupted his sleep. He programmed his phone to automatically enter Do Not Disturb mode at 9 p.m., with only emergency contacts able to reach him. His bedroom smart lights gradually dimmed starting at 8:30 p.m. His charging station was moved to the kitchen, making it inconvenient to use his phone in bed. These small environmental changes eliminated his scrolling habit within 2 weeks. Habit automation removes decision fatigue by handling routine logistics automatically. The key is identifying which aspects of your habits can be automated versus which require your conscious participation. Automation should eliminate barriers, not replace the actual habit behavior. Schedule automation proves especially powerful. Calendar apps can automatically block time for habits, send reminders at optimal moments, and even reschedule less important activities when habits take priority. Email automation can send weekly progress reports to accountability partners or schedule habit-related content delivery. Financial automation supports habits requiring monetary commitment. Automatic transfers to savings accounts support financial habits. Subscription services deliver habit-supporting products without requiring repeated decisions. Charitable donations can automatically increase when you miss workout goals, creating positive accountability pressure. Physical automation through smart devices handles environmental factors. Smart pill dispensers remind you about supplement habits. Automatic pet feeders ensure consistency in pet care routines. Smart irrigation systems maintain garden habits even when you travel. Sarah automated her meditation habit by connecting it to her morning coffee routine. Her smart coffee maker was programmed to delay brewing by 10 minutes, exactly the length of her meditation session. She couldn't get coffee without completing meditation first. This simple automation eliminated the daily decision about when to meditate and created a natural reward system. Biometric optimization uses health data to enhance habit timing and intensity. Heart rate variability can indicate optimal times for challenging habits versus recovery activities. Sleep data reveals natural energy patterns that inform habit scheduling. Stress measurements suggest when to emphasize calming habits versus energizing ones. Modern wearables track numerous biomarkers that inform habit decisions. Resting heart rate trends indicate when to push harder versus ease back in exercise habits. Sleep quality scores suggest whether morning habits should be gentle or vigorous. Stress patterns reveal optimal times for meditation or breathing exercises. The key is learning to interpret this data practically, rather than becoming obsessed with numbers. Look for patterns over time rather than daily fluctuations. Use the information to guide decisions rather than dictate them absolutely. How might your natural energy patterns throughout the day inform better timing for your most important habits? Social technology integration connects you with others for enhanced accountability and support. This goes beyond sharing progress on social media to creating meaningful connections that genuinely support habit formation. Virtual accountability partnerships work through regular check-ins, shared goal tracking, and mutual encouragement. Apps designed for this purpose allow partners to monitor each other's progress and provide timely support. The key is finding partners whose schedules and communication styles complement yours. Online habit communities provide broader support networks. These groups share strategies, celebrate successes, and offer encouragement during difficult periods. The most effective communities focus on specific habits or goals rather than general self-improvement. Professional online coaching combines human expertise with technological convenience. Many coaches now offer app-based communication, progress tracking, and personalized guidance that fits into busy schedules more effectively than traditional in-person sessions. Mark joined an online running group that used GPS tracking to monitor members' activities. The group celebrated weekly mileage goals and organized virtual races. When Mark missed several runs due to work stress, other members reached out with encouragement and practical suggestions for maintaining fitness during busy periods. This support helped him maintain his running habit through a challenging career transition. Avoiding technology addiction while using tech for habits requires clear boundaries and intentional usage. The same devices that support positive habits can become sources of distraction and dependence if not managed carefully. Set specific times and contexts for habit-related technology use. Separate apps and devices used for habit formation from those used for entertainment. Create tech-free habit zones where the focus remains on direct experience rather than digital mediation. Regular digital detoxes help maintain perspective on technology's role versus habit ownership. Take periodic breaks from habit tracking apps to ensure you can maintain behaviors without technological support. This prevents overdependence while maintaining the benefits of tech assistance. Monitor your emotional relationship with habit technology. Healthy usage feels supportive and empowering. Unhealthy usage creates anxiety about numbers, compulsive checking, or inability to function without constant feedback. Privacy considerations become crucial when sharing habit data with apps and services. Read privacy policies carefully. Understand what data is collected, how it's used, and who has access. Choose reputable companies with strong privacy protections. Consider using privacy-focused alternatives when available. Data security matters equally. Use strong passwords and enable two-factor authentication on habit tracking accounts. Regularly review and delete unnecessary data. Understand that free apps often monetize user data, while paid apps typically offer better privacy protection. Creating backup systems ensures habit continuity when technology fails. Every digital habit system needs a low-tech backup plan. Write down key habit details. Maintain manual tracking methods as alternatives. Develop habits that can function independently of technology when necessary. Technology should amplify human capability rather than replace human agency. The most successful approach treats digital tools as sophisticated assistants rather than habit masters. You remain in control of decisions while leveraging technology's strengths in data collection, pattern recognition, and automation. The future promises even more sophisticated integration between human behavior and technological support. Artificial intelligence will become more nuanced in understanding individual patterns. Biometric tracking will provide deeper insights into optimal habit timing. Social technology will create more meaningful connections between people pursuing similar goals. However, the fundamental principles remain constant. Technology serves habits, not the reverse. The most powerful digital tools still require human commitment, consistency, and conscious choice. They make the journey easier and more informed, but they cannot walk the path for you. Part 2. Digital minimalism for focus. Your smartphone buzzes every 12 minutes on average. Your attention fractures each time, requiring up to 23 minutes to fully refocus on meaningful tasks. This constant digital interruption creates a toxic environment for habit formation where deep focus becomes nearly impossible. Digital minimalism offers a strategic approach to reclaiming your attention and creating space for the habits that truly matter. By intentionally choosing which technologies serve your goals and eliminating those that merely consume your time, you can transform your digital environment from a source of distraction into a foundation for sustained focus and meaningful change. Sarah worked as a marketing manager and struggled to maintain her morning writing habit. Despite setting her alarm for 6 a.m. each day, she found herself scrolling through news feeds and social media within minutes of waking. By the time she finished checking emails and responding to messages, her creative energy was depleted and her writing time had vanished. Her habit failed not because she lacked motivation, but because her digital environment actively worked against her intentions. The attention economy profits from fragmenting your focus. Social media platforms, news websites, and entertainment apps use sophisticated algorithms designed to capture and hold your attention for as long as possible. These systems exploit psychological triggers like variable reward schedules, social validation, and fear of missing out to create compelling but ultimately empty experiences that leave you feeling drained rather than energized. Every notification represents a small decision that requires mental energy. Research shows that even having a smartphone visible on your desk reduces cognitive performance by approximately 10%, even when the device is turned off. Your brain allocates mental resources to actively ignore the device, creating a subtle but persistent drain on your attention capacity. Consider how often you reach for your phone without conscious intention. This automatic behavior demonstrates how digital habits can override your conscious goals. When your environment is filled with distracting technologies, maintaining focus on important habits becomes an uphill battle, fought against powerful systems designed to capture your attention. Digital decluttering begins with a comprehensive audit of your current technology use. Track your screen time for 1 week without making any changes. Most people discover they spend 3 to 4 hours daily on their phones, often in small fragments that accumulate throughout the day. This time tracking reveals patterns you may not consciously recognize. Start by removing apps that provide entertainment without serving a specific purpose. Gaming apps, social media platforms, and news aggregators often consume significant time while contributing little to your meaningful goals. The key question to ask about each app is simple. Does this technology serve my important habits, or does it compete with them? Create friction for distracting apps by moving them off your home screen or requiring multiple taps to access them. This small change can reduce usage by up to 80% because it eliminates the automatic reach and tap behavior that bypasses conscious decision-making. Replace infinite scroll applications with finite alternatives. Instead of following hundreds of social media accounts, subscribe to 3 high-quality newsletters that deliver specific information weekly. This shift transforms passive consumption into intentional learning while dramatically reducing time spent on platforms designed to capture endless attention. How many of your digital tools actually help you achieve your most important goals? Focus protection protocols create specific times and spaces where technology serves rather than distracts from your priorities. Establish clear start and end times for digital activities, just as you would for any other appointment. Design your morning routine to begin with analog activities before engaging with digital devices. Sarah restructured her morning by keeping her phone in another room overnight and starting each day with 30 minutes of writing before checking any digital communications. This simple change protected her most creative hours from digital intrusion. Create physical barriers between yourself and distracting technology during focused work periods. Use website blockers, place devices in another room, or switch your phone to airplane mode during important habit practice. These barriers don't require perfect willpower because they make distraction inconvenient rather than irresistible. Establish specific times for checking email and messages rather than responding to notifications throughout the day. Most professionals find that checking email 3 times daily provides adequate responsiveness while preserving long periods of uninterrupted focus for important work. Your attention span is not fixed but trainable. Digital overstimulation creates a preference for quick dopamine hits that makes sustained focus feel difficult and boring. Attention training involves gradually increasing your capacity for single tasking and deep concentration. Start with brief periods of focused attention on one activity without any digital input. Begin with 10 minutes of reading a physical book, writing by hand, or practicing a skill that requires concentration. Notice when your mind seeks stimulation and gently redirect attention back to the chosen activity. Practice the one-tab rule when working on digital devices. Keep only one browser tab or application open at a time. This constraint forces you to complete tasks sequentially rather than jumping between multiple activities, which strengthens your ability to sustain attention on single tasks. Gradually extend periods of focused attention as your capacity improves. Many people find they can build from 10 minutes of sustained focus to 90-minute deep work sessions within 4 to 6 weeks of consistent practice. This improvement creates space for habits that require sustained attention, such as learning new skills, creative work, or physical training. Digital Sabbaths provide regular recovery periods that restore your natural attention rhythms. Designate specific times each week when you completely disconnect from digital devices. This practice allows your nervous system to recalibrate and reduces the anxiety that comes from constant connectivity. Begin with short digital breaks of 2 to 3 hours and gradually extend to full days. Many people discover that 24-hour periods without digital input initially feel uncomfortable, but ultimately provide profound mental clarity and creativity. These breaks reveal how much mental energy is typically consumed by digital maintenance tasks. During digital Sabbaths, engage in activities that require sustained attention or provide sensory richness. Reading physical books, spending time in nature, having extended conversations, or practicing hands-on skills all help rebuild your capacity for deep focus and present moment awareness. What would change in your life if you spent 2 hours less each day consuming digital content and 2 hours more practicing important skills? Selective connectivity means maintaining beneficial digital relationships while eliminating draining ones. Not all online interactions provide equal value, and identifying which connections support your growth versus those that deplete your energy is crucial for sustainable digital minimalism. Evaluate your social media follows and subscriptions based on whether they inspire, educate, or genuinely connect you with people you care about. Unfollow accounts that trigger comparison, anxiety, or time-wasting behaviors, even if the content is popular or entertaining. Engage actively rather than passively in online communities. Instead of scrolling through feeds, participate in discussions, ask questions, and contribute valuable insights. This shift transforms digital interaction from consumption to creation, making online time more meaningful and less addictive. Managing fear of missing out requires recognizing that constant information consumption creates an illusion of knowledge while preventing deep understanding. Most news and social media content has little impact on your daily life or long-term goals. Choosing ignorance about trending topics frees mental space for learning and growth that directly serves your priorities. Create analog alternatives for digital habits that serve important purposes. If you use meditation apps, try silent meditation without guidance. If you track fitness digitally, experiment with body awareness and intuitive movement. These alternatives often provide deeper benefits while reducing dependence on technology. The goal is not to eliminate technology, but to use it intentionally in service of your most important habits and relationships. Digital minimalism creates space for sustained attention, deep relationships, and meaningful work by removing the constant digital noise that fragments modern life. When technology serves rather than dominates your attention, you create an environment where important habits can take root and flourish with minimal resistance. Part 3. AI-assisted behavior change. Modern artificial intelligence is transforming how we build habits by providing personalized coaching, predictive insights, and adaptive support that evolves with our progress. From smart fitness trackers that learn our patterns to chatbots that offer real-time motivation, AI tools are becoming sophisticated allies in behavior change. These systems analyze vast amounts of data about our preferences, challenges, and environments to offer customized strategies that traditional one-size-fits-all approaches cannot match. The technology promises to make habit formation more effective and sustainable by adapting to our unique needs and circumstances. AI-powered habit coaching represents a fundamental shift from generic advice to personalized guidance. Consider Sarah, a working mother who struggled to maintain a consistent exercise routine. Traditional fitness apps provided the same workout schedules for everyone, ignoring her irregular work hours and family responsibilities. When she switched to an AI-powered fitness coach, the system analyzed her sleep patterns, work calendar, stress levels, and past workout data to create a flexible routine that adapted daily. On busy mornings, it suggested 5-minute high-intensity exercises. On calmer evenings, it recommended longer yoga sessions. The AI learned that Sarah was more likely to exercise after her children's bedtime and gradually shifted suggestions to align with this pattern. This personalization extends beyond fitness into every area of habit formation. AI systems can track your productivity patterns to identify when you are most focused for important tasks. They monitor your spending habits to predict when you might overspend and send gentle reminders before you reach trigger points. Some applications even analyze your communication patterns to suggest optimal times for difficult conversations or important emails. Have you ever wondered why you succeed with certain habits on some days but fail on others? AI systems excel at identifying these subtle patterns that escape human awareness. Predictive analytics can examine hundreds of variables simultaneously to forecast when you are most likely to succeed or struggle with specific behaviors. Microsoft's research team developed an AI system that predicts workplace stress levels by analyzing email patterns, calendar density, and communication frequency. The system identifies early warning signs of burnout and suggests preventive interventions like scheduling breaks or declining non-essential meetings. Similar technology is being applied to personal habit formation, helping people anticipate challenges before they derail progress. A sleep optimization app called Sleep Cycle uses AI to analyze your sleep patterns, daily activities, and environmental factors to predict your optimal bedtime each night. Instead of recommending a fixed sleep schedule, it adapts to your changing needs and circumstances. On days when you exercise intensely, it might suggest an earlier bedtime. Before important meetings, it ensures you get sufficient rest to perform well. AI-powered environment optimization takes habit support to the next level by automatically adjusting your surroundings to promote success. Smart home systems can dim lights gradually as your bedtime approaches, adjust room temperature for better sleep, or play calming music when stress levels rise. These environmental changes happen seamlessly in the background, removing the need for conscious decision-making. One innovative application involves smart lighting systems that support circadian rhythm regulation. The AI learns your natural energy patterns and gradually adjusts light color and intensity throughout the day. Morning light becomes brighter and bluer to promote alertness, while evening light shifts to warmer tones that encourage relaxation. This environmental optimization happens automatically, supporting better sleep habits without requiring any conscious effort. Conversational AI has evolved from simple chatbots to sophisticated coaching companions that provide real-time support and motivation. These systems use natural language processing to understand context, emotion, and individual communication preferences. They can offer encouragement during difficult moments, celebrate victories, and provide practical suggestions when you face obstacles. Wobot, a mental health chatbot, demonstrates the power of conversational AI for behavior change. The system uses cognitive behavioral therapy techniques to help users identify negative thought patterns and develop healthier mental habits. It checks in regularly, remembers previous conversations, and adapts its approach based on user responses. Many users report feeling genuinely supported by the AI, even though they know it is not human. What makes conversational AI particularly effective is its availability and non-judgmental nature. You can access support at any time without worrying about social constraints or fear of judgment. The AI never gets tired, frustrated, or distracted, providing consistent encouragement and guidance whenever needed. AI habit experimentation represents one of the most exciting developments in behavior change technology. These systems can test multiple approaches simultaneously, measuring which strategies work best for your specific situation. Instead of guessing what might work, AI can run controlled experiments with your habits, identifying optimal approaches through data analysis. A productivity app called Rescue Time uses AI to experiment with different focus techniques for individual users. It might test the Pomodoro technique against time-blocking methods, measuring which approach leads to better focus and completed tasks. The system continuously refines its recommendations based on real-world results, creating increasingly effective, personalized strategies. Collective intelligence takes AI habit formation to a community level, where systems learn from millions of users to improve recommendations for everyone. This approach combines individual personalization with insights from similar users who have successfully built the same habits you are working to develop. MyFitnessPal analyzes eating patterns across its vast user base to identify successful weight management strategies. The AI can suggest meal timing, food combinations, and portion sizes based on what has worked for users with similar demographics, goals, and preferences. This collective learning accelerates individual progress by applying proven strategies from a diverse community. However, AI-assisted behavior change raises important privacy concerns that require careful consideration. These systems collect detailed information about your daily habits, health patterns, and personal preferences. Some users worry about how this data might be used, stored, or shared with third parties. The key is choosing AI tools from reputable companies with clear privacy policies and strong data protection measures. Look for systems that process data locally on your device when possible, limit data collection to essential functions, and give you control over your information. Remember that you can often gain significant benefits from AI tools while sharing minimal personal data. Maintaining human agency remains crucial when using AI for habit formation. These tools should enhance your decision-making capabilities rather than replace them entirely. The most effective approach combines AI insights with human judgment, using technology to inform choices while retaining ultimate control over behavior changes. Set clear boundaries around AI recommendations, treating them as suggestions rather than commands. Regularly evaluate whether the AI's advice aligns with your values and long-term goals. Some users find it helpful to discuss AI recommendations with friends, family, or human coaches to maintain balanced perspectives. Avoiding overdependence on AI requires conscious effort to develop your own self-awareness and behavior change skills. Use AI tools as training wheels that gradually help you develop expertise in understanding your own patterns and making effective changes. The goal is to become more capable of managing your habits independently, using AI as a powerful but temporary support system. When selecting AI tools for habit formation, focus on applications that offer transparency about their methods, provide clear explanations for recommendations, and allow you to understand the reasoning behind suggestions. Avoid systems that seem like black boxes, offering advice without explaining their logic. The most effective integration combines AI capabilities with human support systems. AI excels at pattern recognition, data analysis, and consistent availability, while humans provide empathy, creative problem-solving, and contextual understanding. Use AI for tracking, analysis, and routine support, while maintaining human connections for motivation, accountability, and complex decision-making. Start with simple AI applications that address specific habit challenges before moving to more comprehensive systems. This gradual approach helps you understand how different tools work while avoiding overwhelming complexity. Remember that AI is advancing rapidly, so stay informed about new capabilities while maintaining healthy skepticism about overhyped claims. The future of AI-assisted behavior change holds tremendous promise for making habit formation more effective, personalized, and sustainable. By approaching these tools thoughtfully and maintaining human agency, you can harness their power while avoiding potential pitfalls. The key is using AI to enhance rather than replace your natural capacity for growth and positive change. Part 4. Virtual Community Building. Building meaningful connections online for habit formation creates powerful support systems that can match or exceed traditional in-person groups. Virtual communities offer unique advantages, including 24/7 accessibility, diverse perspectives from global members, and specialized focus areas that might not exist locally. The key lies in choosing the right communities, engaging authentically, and creating genuine relationships that translate into real-world habit success. When done thoughtfully, online community building becomes a strategic tool for long-term behavior change, providing accountability, inspiration, and practical wisdom from people who share similar goals and challenges. Building on AI-powered insights for behavior change, human connections remain essential for sustainable habit formation. Technology provides data and suggestions, but community support provides the emotional resilience and practical wisdom that sustains long-term change. Virtual communities bridge this gap by combining digital convenience with human connection. Sarah struggled with consistent exercise habits until she joined an online fitness community of working mothers. Unlike generic fitness apps, this group understood her specific challenges of finding time between school pickups and work deadlines. Members shared practical solutions like 15-minute morning routines and strategies for exercising during kids' nap times. Within 3 months, Sarah maintained a consistent workout schedule for the first time in years. The right online community acts like a personalized support system that understands your specific circumstances. Generic advice rarely addresses individual challenges, but community members who share similar situations provide targeted solutions that actually work in real life. Finding your ideal virtual community. Successful community engagement starts with identifying groups that match your values, communication style, and specific goals. Look for communities where members actively support each other rather than simply posting achievements. High-quality groups feature regular interaction, constructive feedback, and members at various stages of their habit journey. Reddit communities like r/getmotivated or specialized Facebook groups for specific habits offer different communication styles. Reddit tends toward detailed discussions and research-based advice, while Facebook groups often provide more personal sharing and emotional support. LinkedIn groups focus on professional development habits, while Discord servers offer real-time chat and voice support. How do you prefer to communicate when seeking support during challenging times? Understanding your communication preferences helps identify communities where you'll naturally engage and contribute. Marcus found success in a Discord server for writers committed to daily writing habits. The real-time chat feature allowed immediate support during writing blocks, while scheduled writing sessions created shared accountability. Unlike static forum posts, the live interaction provided instant encouragement when motivation wavered. Creating effective virtual accountability partnerships. One-on-one accountability partnerships within larger communities often provide the most sustained support. These relationships develop through consistent interaction and mutual investment in each other's success. Effective virtual partnerships involve regular check-ins, shared goal tracking, and honest feedback about progress and setbacks. Start by engaging consistently in community discussions before approaching potential accountability partners. Look for members who demonstrate reliability in their community participation and whose goals complement yours. A good accountability partner isn't necessarily pursuing identical habits, but shares similar commitment levels and communication preferences. Jennifer connected with Lisa through a productivity-focused online community. They established weekly video calls to review habit progress and daily text check-ins for immediate support. When Jennifer felt tempted to skip her morning meditation, Lisa's gentle reminder helped maintain consistency. The partnership worked because both women committed to honest communication and mutual support. Digital mentorship and expert guidance. Online mentorship opportunities exist through various formats, including formal coaching relationships, community expert contributions, and peer mentorship programs. Many successful habit practitioners share their experiences through blog posts, video content, or active community participation. Approach potential online mentors by first engaging thoughtfully with their content and demonstrating genuine interest in learning. Offer value through insightful questions or sharing relevant experiences rather than immediately requesting personal guidance. Many experts appreciate community members who contribute meaningfully to discussions. David found an online mentor through a personal finance community focused on saving habits. Rather than asking for free advice, he compiled research on budgeting methods and asked specific questions that sparked valuable discussions. The expert eventually offered personalized guidance because David consistently contributed value to the community. Content creation for enhanced accountability. Sharing your habit journey through posts, videos, or progress updates creates public accountability while helping others facing similar challenges. This approach works best when you focus on authentic sharing rather than perfect presentation. Document both successes and struggles to provide realistic perspectives for other community members. Consider what format feels most natural for your communication style. Some people prefer detailed written reflections, while others share quick video updates or photo progress. Consistency in sharing matters more than production quality. What aspect of your habit journey might be most helpful for others to see? Sometimes sharing struggles and recovery strategies provides more value than highlighting perfect success streaks. Tom documented his habit of learning Spanish through daily Instagram stories. He shared vocabulary mistakes, pronunciation struggles, and small victories. His authentic approach attracted other language learners who formed an informal support network. The public documentation increased his commitment while helping others stay motivated. Building and leading online communities. Creating your own online community requires consistent moderation, clear guidelines, and genuine investment in member success. Successful community leaders focus on facilitating connections between members rather than positioning themselves as the primary expert. Establish clear posting guidelines, encourage supportive interactions, and address negative behavior quickly. Start small with focused topics rather than attempting broad appeal. A community dedicated to morning routine habits will develop stronger connections than a general self-improvement group. As the community grows, recruit active members to help with moderation and organization. Managing cross-platform connections. Maintaining relationships across different platforms requires intentional organization and clear communication preferences. Some connections work better on specific platforms based on features and communication styles. Document important relationships and preferred contact methods to maintain consistency. Consider using a simple spreadsheet or contact management system to track community connections, their preferred platforms, and key conversation topics. This prevents relationships from fading due to platform changes or forgotten usernames. Avoiding common virtual community pitfalls. Social media comparison traps undermine habit formation by creating unrealistic expectations based on curated content. Remember that most people share highlights rather than daily struggles. Focus on your personal progress rather than comparing your behind-the-scenes reality to others' highlight reels. Maintain healthy boundaries by setting specific times for community engagement rather than constantly checking for updates. Excessive community participation can become a distraction from actual habit practice. Use communities to support your habits rather than replacing them. When dealing with negative feedback or criticism, evaluate whether comments come from genuine concern or personal issues. Constructive feedback helps improve your approach, while unconstructive criticism reflects the commenter's challenges rather than your efforts. Translating virtual support into real-world results. The ultimate test of virtual community value lies in measurable habit improvement. Track whether online interactions lead to sustained behavior changes rather than just feeling good about participation. Effective virtual support translates into consistent real-world action. Schedule regular evaluations of your online community involvement. Ask yourself whether specific communities continue providing value or have become primarily social entertainment. Adjust your participation to maintain focus on actual habit development. Virtual communities succeed when they enhance rather than replace real-world habit practice. The goal is using online connections to strengthen offline behavior change, creating lasting habits that improve your daily life regardless of digital connectivity. Privacy considerations become important when sharing personal challenges and progress online. Share enough detail to receive meaningful support while maintaining appropriate boundaries about sensitive personal information. Consider using pseudonyms or limiting identifying details when discussing personal struggles. Sustainable virtual community engagement requires treating online relationships with the same respect and commitment as offline friendships. Authentic connections develop through consistent, genuine interaction, focused on mutual support rather than personal promotion or validation seeking. Chapter 6, The Legacy Framework, Part 1, Scaling Habits Across Life Domains. Most people build habits in isolation, focusing on one area at a time without considering how different parts of their lives connect. This fragmented approach wastes enormous potential for growth and change. When you learn to design habits that work across multiple life domains simultaneously, you create powerful systems that amplify each other's effects. A single, well-chosen habit can improve your health, relationships, career, and finances all at once. This section reveals how to map the connections between different areas of your life, identify habits with maximum cross-domain impact, and build integrated systems that transform everything together rather than piece by piece. Life operates as an interconnected web where changes in one area ripple through all others. Consider Maria, a marketing executive who struggled to balance her demanding career with her health and family relationships. She tried fixing each area separately: gym memberships for health, date nights for her marriage, productivity apps for work. Nothing stuck because each effort existed in isolation, competing for her limited time and energy. The breakthrough came when Maria discovered how her morning routine could serve multiple purposes simultaneously. Instead of separate solutions, she created one powerful sequence that began at 5:30 a.m. She started with 15 minutes of meditation, which reduced work stress and improved her patience with family members. This was followed by 30 minutes of exercise, boosting both physical health and mental clarity for important business decisions. She then spent 20 minutes reading industry publications while drinking coffee, advancing her career knowledge in a peaceful environment before the day's chaos began. This single hour transformed multiple life domains. Her improved focus led to better work performance and earlier completion of daily tasks. Coming home less stressed and more energetic, she engaged more meaningfully with her husband and children. Her increased physical energy supported better decision-making in all areas, from financial choices to relationship conversations. The key lies in understanding domain interconnectedness. Health affects productivity, which impacts financial success, which influences relationship stress, which circles back to affect health. Rather than fighting this interconnection, you can harness it by identifying habits that naturally improve multiple areas. Consider how different life domains influence each other in your own experience. When you sleep poorly, how does it affect your work performance, patience with family, or financial decision-making? When you exercise regularly, what other areas of life improve without direct effort? Keystone habits serve as powerful leverage points that trigger positive changes across multiple domains. Physical exercise exemplifies this perfectly. Regular movement improves physical health directly, but it also enhances mental clarity for better work performance, increases energy for stronger relationships, improves mood for better social interactions, and often leads to better financial decisions through enhanced self-discipline and reduced stress-related spending. Reading represents another keystone habit with broad impact. Daily reading expands knowledge for career advancement, provides mental stimulation for cognitive health, offers relaxation for stress management, creates conversation topics for social connections, and often improves financial literacy when you choose appropriate materials. Building integrated habit systems requires strategic thinking about how habits can work together rather than compete for resources. Time-based integration proves particularly effective. Sarah, a busy mother of 3, created a morning sequence that addressed health, career development, and family relationships simultaneously. She woke 30 minutes earlier to exercise while listening to professional development podcasts, then used the endorphin boost and new knowledge to engage more positively with her children during breakfast preparation. Energy management becomes crucial when scaling habits across domains. Rather than draining your willpower by pursuing improvements in every area simultaneously, design systems that use the energy generated in one domain to fuel progress in others. Morning exercise provides energy for afternoon work tasks. Evening reflection about work achievements creates positive momentum for family interactions. Weekend relationship activities recharge emotional batteries for the coming work week. What patterns do you notice in your own energy levels throughout the day and week? How might you sequence habits to use natural energy peaks for activities requiring the most effort? Domain cycling offers another powerful approach for managing multiple improvements without overwhelming yourself. Instead of trying to optimize everything simultaneously, focus intensively on one domain for a specific period while maintaining basic habits in others. Spend 3 months building strong health habits while keeping work and relationship routines stable. Then shift focus to career development while maintaining the health gains you've established. This approach acknowledges that major improvements require concentrated effort while preventing the neglect of important life areas. During health-focused periods, you might maintain relationships through established date nights and family dinners without trying to revolutionize your social life. During career-focused periods, you preserve health gains through established exercise routines without adding new fitness challenges. Creating life system architecture involves designing overarching frameworks that organize habits across domains while maintaining simplicity. Think of this as creating a personal operating system that governs how you approach different areas of life. This might include consistent wake and sleep times that support all domains, weekly planning sessions that address health, work, and relationship goals, or daily routines that touch each important life area without overwhelming detail. The architecture should be simple enough to remember and execute consistently, yet comprehensive enough to maintain progress across all important domains. Many successful individuals use variations of this approach. Daily practices that address physical health, mental development, important relationships, and key work priorities through simple, repeatable actions. Integration protocols help connect habits across domains systematically. These might include using transition times between activities to bridge different life areas, combining activities that naturally support multiple domains, or using success in one area as motivation and energy for others. When you complete a challenging workout, you might immediately tackle a difficult work project, while motivation and endorphins remain high. Technology can support integration by tracking progress across domains and highlighting connections. Simple apps that monitor health metrics, work achievements, relationship activities, and financial progress help you see how improvements in one area correlate with changes in others. This visibility reinforces the interconnected nature of life domains and motivates continued integration efforts. Common scaling mistakes include attempting to transform every life area simultaneously, which typically leads to quick burnout and abandonment of all improvements. Another frequent error involves focusing so intensively on one domain that others deteriorate, creating stress that ultimately undermines the targeted improvements. Perfectionism across domains proves equally problematic, seeking optimal performance in every area simultaneously, rather than accepting good enough performance in some areas while excelling in others. The most sustainable approach balances ambition with realism. Maintain basic positive habits across all domains while pursuing excellence in selected areas during specific time periods. This creates steady overall progress without the boom and bust cycles that characterize many improvement attempts. How might you design a simple daily routine that touches each important area of your life without overwhelming your schedule or energy? What would such a routine look like in practice? Successful domain integration requires regular assessment and adjustment. Monthly reviews help you evaluate progress across different life areas, identify domains needing attention, and adjust habit systems accordingly. These reviews prevent any single area from being neglected too long, while highlighting unexpected positive connections between different improvements. The goal is creating a life system where positive changes naturally support and amplify each other, creating upward spirals of improvement that require less effort over time rather than more. When habits work together harmoniously, maintaining them becomes easier because each habit provides energy and motivation for others, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of positive change across all important areas of life. Part 2. Teaching habits to others. Teaching someone to build better habits is one of the most valuable gifts you can offer, yet it requires a fundamentally different approach than changing your own behavior. Whether you're a parent watching your teenager struggle with study habits, a manager hoping to improve team productivity, or a friend wanting to support someone's health journey, your role shifts from personal habit architect to guide and supporter. The key lies in understanding that lasting change must come from within the other person, while you provide the framework, encouragement, and wisdom that makes their transformation possible. This section reveals how to become an effective habit teacher without falling into common traps of control, impatience, or projection. The most powerful teaching tool you possess is your own example. Consider Maria, a marketing director whose team struggled with chronic lateness to meetings. Instead of instituting harsh policies or delivering lectures about punctuality, she began arriving 15 minutes early to every meeting, using the time to review agendas and greet team members personally. Within 3 weeks, her team naturally began arriving earlier, drawn by the relaxed, prepared atmosphere she created. Personal modeling works because it demonstrates possibility rather than preaching obligation. Your daily actions teach lessons more effectively than any verbal instruction. When you consistently demonstrate positive habits, others observe the natural benefits and become curious about your methods. This curiosity creates an opening for genuine teaching moments where people actively seek your guidance rather than receiving unsolicited advice. However, modeling alone isn't always sufficient. Effective habit teaching requires understanding each person's unique psychology, learning style, and life circumstances. What motivates a detail-oriented analytical person differs greatly from what inspires a creative, big-picture thinker. Some people respond to data and tracking systems, while others need emotional connection and story-based approaches. Take the case of two employees learning time management habits. Sarah, an accountant, thrived with detailed scheduling apps and productivity metrics. Her colleague Jake, a graphic designer, found such systems overwhelming and instead succeeded with visual time blocking using colorful calendars and flexible daily themes. Both achieved similar results through completely different approaches tailored to their personalities. How well do you know the learning style and motivational triggers of the person you're trying to help? Understanding these factors determines whether your guidance will be received as helpful support or unwanted interference. The concept of supportive accountability represents another crucial element of habit teaching. This involves creating structures that help others maintain consistency without becoming controlling or judgmental. Supportive accountability focuses on the person's own goals and standards rather than imposing external expectations. Consider how Tom helped his roommate develop a morning exercise routine. Instead of nagging or checking up constantly, Tom simply asked each evening, "How did your morning routine go today?" This gentle inquiry provided an opportunity for his roommate to reflect and recommit without feeling judged. When his roommate missed workouts, Tom would ask, "What would make tomorrow morning easier?" focusing on problem solving rather than criticism. Creating family habit systems requires special consideration because multiple people with different ages, personalities, and schedules must coordinate their behaviors. Successful family habit systems identify common goals and create shared routines that support everyone's individual needs. The Johnson family successfully implemented a device-free dinner hour by establishing clear containers for phones at the kitchen entrance and creating engaging conversation prompts for each meal. Rather than fighting individual battles about screen time, they created a family environment that naturally supported better communication habits for everyone. The key to family habit systems lies in collaborative design rather than parental decree. When family members participate in creating the rules and structures, they feel ownership rather than resentment toward the changes. Workplace habit teaching presents unique challenges because professional relationships involve different power dynamics and motivation structures than personal relationships. Effective organizational habit culture focuses on creating environments and systems that make positive habits easier rather than mandating specific behaviors. A software company improved their team's code review habits, not through policy changes, but by implementing a system where code reviews were automatically assigned to pairs of developers and integrated into project timelines. This environmental change made thorough code reviews the natural, easy choice rather than an additional burden. Common teaching mistakes include moving too quickly, imposing personal preferences, and trying to solve problems the other person hasn't acknowledged. Many well-intentioned habit teachers overwhelm beginners with complex systems or push for changes the person isn't ready to make. When someone resists your habit suggestions, step back and examine whether you're addressing their actual priorities or projecting your own values onto their situation. Resistance often signals a mismatch between your proposed solution and their real needs or readiness level. Teaching habits to others ultimately strengthens your own practice by requiring you to articulate principles, observe results, and continuously refine your understanding. Each person you guide teaches you something new about human motivation and behavior change, making you a more effective habit architect for yourself and others. The goal of habit teaching is creating independent, self-motivated individuals who understand principles well enough to adapt and evolve their systems over time. Success is measured not by compliance with your suggestions, but by the other person's growing confidence and skill in designing their own positive changes. Part 3. Organizational Habit Design. The modern workplace faces a striking challenge. Individual excellence often fails to translate into organizational success. Teams filled with capable people frequently struggle with coordination, consistency, and cultural alignment. The solution lies in designing organizational systems that make positive habits the natural choice for everyone. This approach transforms scattered individual efforts into coordinated collective power, creating workplaces where excellence becomes automatic rather than accidental. When organizations master habit design, they build sustainable competitive advantages that persist through leadership changes, market shifts, and growth challenges. Every organization already operates through habits, whether leaders recognize it or not. The difference between thriving and struggling companies often comes down to whether these habits serve the mission or work against it. Consider how Southwest Airlines built their culture around specific habits. Crew members automatically help each other regardless of job titles. Maintenance teams follow consistent safety protocols, and customer service representatives genuinely engage with passengers. These behaviors became so ingrained that they persist across thousands of employees and decades of growth. The first step in organizational habit design involves conducting a cultural habit assessment. This process reveals the automatic behaviors that actually drive daily operations. Walk through your workplace and observe recurring patterns. Do people naturally collaborate across departments, or do they retreat into silos? When problems arise, do teams immediately look for solutions, or do they first assign blame? Do meetings start on time with clear agendas, or do they drift aimlessly? Document these observations without judgment. One technology company discovered that their innovation culture actually discouraged risk-taking through subtle habits. When someone proposed new ideas, colleagues automatically responded with concerns rather than possibilities. Meetings began with lengthy discussions of potential problems before considering benefits. Performance reviews emphasized error avoidance over creative thinking. These habits created a culture of caution disguised as thoughtfulness. What patterns do you notice in your own workplace that might be invisibly shaping outcomes? The habits you observe today become the foundation for strategic change tomorrow. Effective policy design makes good organizational habits easier and bad ones harder. Instead of creating more rules, focus on removing friction from desired behaviors while adding helpful constraints to problematic ones. A consulting firm wanted to improve client communication habits. Rather than mandating daily update emails, they redesigned their project management system to automatically prompt relevant updates and make sharing progress information effortless. Environmental design at scale requires thinking beyond individual workspaces to consider how physical and digital environments shape collective behavior. Open floor plans can encourage collaboration habits if designed thoughtfully, with quiet zones for focused work and natural gathering spaces for informal interaction. Digital environments matter equally. Companies that make information sharing difficult through complex systems inadvertently create hoarding habits, while those with intuitive, accessible platforms foster transparency. One manufacturing company redesigned their production floor to make safety habits automatic. They positioned safety equipment at natural stopping points, created visual cues that prompted protective gear checks, and arranged workflows so safety procedures felt like natural progressions rather than interruptions. Accident rates dropped significantly without additional training or enforcement. Leadership habit modeling proves more powerful than any policy or program. When leaders consistently demonstrate desired behaviors, they create permission and expectation for others to follow. A CEO who regularly asks, "What can I learn from this mistake?" in team meetings gradually shifts the entire organization toward learning-focused rather than blame-focused responses to problems. However, modeling must be genuine and consistent. Employees quickly detect performative behavior and respond with cynicism. Leaders serious about habit change must first master the behaviors personally before expecting organizational adoption. Habit-based performance management represents a fundamental shift from evaluating outcomes to assessing processes. This approach recognizes that consistent good habits naturally produce good results over time, while outcome-focused evaluation can encourage shortcuts and unsustainable practices. Instead of only measuring sales numbers, evaluate whether salespeople consistently follow effective prospecting habits, maintain customer relationship protocols, and engage in continuous learning activities. This requires careful metric design. Focus on leading indicators that predict success rather than lagging indicators that only confirm what already happened. Track process adherence, system usage, and behavioral consistency alongside traditional performance measures. Measuring organizational habit success demands new kinds of metrics. Traditional business measurements capture results, but miss the underlying behavioral patterns that create those results. Develop ways to measure habit adoption rates, consistency across teams, and cultural integration of desired behaviors. One retail chain tracked customer service habits by monitoring how often employees naturally offered additional assistance, proactively solved problems, and followed up on customer concerns. These behavioral metrics predicted customer satisfaction scores more accurately than traditional service measurements. Resistance to organizational habit change often stems from fear of micromanagement or loss of autonomy. Address this by involving teams in habit design rather than imposing changes from above. When people participate in creating new systems, they feel ownership rather than resentment. Focus on providing structure that supports individual success rather than controlling every detail of execution. Scaling challenges multiply as organizations grow. Habits that work for small teams may not translate to large departments. Design systems with built-in flexibility that allow adaptation while maintaining core principles. Create habit champions within different groups who can customize approaches for their specific contexts while preserving overall alignment. Leadership transitions present particular risks to organizational habits. When key habit modelers leave, established patterns can quickly deteriorate. Build habit systems that extend beyond individual leaders by embedding practices in processes, training programs, and organizational structure. Document not just what successful leaders do, but how they think and approach decisions. Different departments often require adapted versions of organizational habits. Sales teams need different collaboration patterns than engineering teams, but both can embody the same underlying values through department-appropriate behaviors. Design flexible frameworks rather than rigid procedures, allowing natural variation while maintaining cultural consistency. The most successful organizational habit implementations combine top-down support with bottom-up innovation. Leaders provide resources, remove barriers, and model desired behaviors, while teams experiment with specific applications and share what works. This creates sustainable change that feels organic rather than imposed. Regular organizational habit audits help maintain momentum and identify areas for improvement. Schedule periodic reviews of cultural patterns, policy effectiveness, and environmental design. As organizations evolve, their habit needs change too. Systems that once supported growth may eventually constrain innovation, requiring thoughtful adjustment. Building habit-friendly organizations creates competitive advantages that competitors cannot easily copy. While products and strategies can be imitated quickly, deeply embedded cultural habits take years to develop and represent genuine differentiation. Companies that master organizational habit design build resilient, adaptive cultures capable of sustained excellence regardless of external challenges. Part 4. The Lifetime Maintenance Protocol. Building lasting habits requires more than initial formation. It demands robust maintenance systems that adapt through life's constant changes. This section provides practical frameworks for creating habit systems that not only survive decades of disruption, but actually strengthen through adversity. You'll discover how to modify your habits for different life stages, maintain essential practices during crises, and build redundant systems that ensure continuity. Most importantly, you'll learn to design habits that can be passed on, creating positive ripple effects that extend far beyond your own life. Sarah built her morning routine in her 20s: meditation, exercise, and journaling before work. 20 years later, as a single mother juggling 2 jobs, that same routine felt impossible. Instead of abandoning her habits entirely, she learned to adapt them. Meditation became 3 deep breaths during her commute. Exercise transformed into dance sessions with her daughter. Journaling shifted to voice memos during lunch breaks. This adaptation represents the essence of lifetime habit maintenance. Your habits must evolve with you, or they become rigid structures that eventually break under life's pressure. The most successful people don't maintain identical habits for decades. They maintain the core functions while continuously adapting the methods. Life stage adaptation requires understanding how your capacity, priorities, and circumstances naturally shift over time. In your 20s, you might have energy for intensive habits but lack resources. Your 40s might bring financial stability but time constraints from family responsibilities. Retirement offers time but may require adjusting for physical limitations. Consider Tom, a corporate executive who practiced rigorous fitness habits throughout his career. As he entered his 60s, he couldn't maintain the same intensity without risking injury. Rather than viewing this as failure, he shifted his focus from performance to consistency. His hour-long gym sessions became 30-minute walks. His competitive sports transformed into recreational swimming. The habit's core purpose, maintaining health, remained constant while the methods evolved appropriately. How might your current habits need to change as your life circumstances evolve? This question becomes crucial for long-term sustainability. The key lies in identifying the underlying purpose of each habit rather than becoming attached to specific methods. Crisis protocols represent another vital component of lifetime maintenance. Major disruptions, illness, job loss, relationship changes, or family emergencies can shatter even well-established habit systems. Preparation for these inevitable challenges prevents complete system collapse. During the recent global pandemic, Maria's carefully structured habits fell apart overnight. Her gym closed, her commute vanished, and her family dynamics shifted dramatically. However, she had prepared for disruption by creating what she called minimum viable habits, simplified versions of her core practices that required minimal time, space, or resources. Her full workout routine compressed to bodyweight exercises in her living room. Her elaborate meal prep simplified to basic healthy choices. Her social habits moved from in-person gatherings to phone calls. These weren't permanent replacements, but bridge systems that maintained momentum during crisis periods. Effective crisis protocols identify your absolute essential habits, those that most significantly impact your well-being and functioning. For most people, this includes basic self-care, some form of physical activity, and connection with important people. Everything else can be temporarily simplified or suspended without destroying your overall system. Building redundancy into your habit systems creates automatic backups that activate when primary methods become impossible. If your main exercise habit depends on a specific gym, develop alternative home routines. If your morning routine requires early rising, create modified versions for late nights or travel situations. The concept extends beyond individual habits to entire life domains. Diversified social connections prevent isolation when certain relationships change. Multiple income streams reduce vulnerability to job loss. Various health practices ensure continued wellness when specific activities become impossible. What backup systems could you create for your most important habits? This redundancy thinking prevents single points of failure from destroying years of progress. System evolution represents the growth aspect of lifetime maintenance. As you learn and develop, your habits should become more sophisticated and effective. Regular review processes identify what's working, what's not, and what new habits might serve your evolving goals. Jennifer implemented quarterly habit reviews where she assessed each practice's effectiveness and relevance. Some habits that once served her well became unnecessary as her life changed. Others needed upgrading to match her increased knowledge and skills. New habits emerged to address fresh challenges and opportunities. This evolution requires balancing stability with growth. Change too frequently and you never build solid foundations. Change too rarely and your systems become outdated and ineffective. The sweet spot typically involves major reviews every few months with minor adjustments as needed. Legacy planning extends habit thinking beyond your own lifetime. The most powerful habits create positive ripple effects that influence family members, colleagues, and communities. Documenting your successful systems and teaching them to others ensures their continuation and multiplication. Robert documented his family's traditions and habits in detailed guides for his children. His morning reading practice became a family value that his kids adopted. His approach to problem-solving influenced his team at work. His community involvement inspired neighbors to increase their own participation. This documentation serves dual purposes. It helps others adopt beneficial practices, while forcing you to clarify and refine your own systems. Teaching habits to others often reveals improvements and adjustments you hadn't previously considered. Age-related changes require special attention in lifetime maintenance. Physical capabilities may decline, but wisdom and experience increase. Energy patterns shift from the quick bursts of youth to the sustained endurance of maturity. Social circles evolve from broad networks to deeper relationships. Successful habit maintenance accounts for these natural progressions rather than fighting them. It recognizes that a 70-year-old's habits will necessarily differ from a 30-year-old's, not through failure, but through appropriate adaptation. Technology and social changes also demand system updates. Communication methods evolve, work patterns shift, new opportunities and challenges emerge regularly. Habit systems that incorporate change as a constant feature rather than an exception prove most resilient over time. The maintenance mindset views disruption as information rather than failure. Each challenge provides data about system weaknesses and improvement opportunities. This perspective transforms obstacles into strengthening experiences rather than threats to overcome. Creating anti-fragile habit systems means building practices that actually benefit from stress and disruption. These systems include built-in adaptation mechanisms, multiple redundancies, and continuous improvement processes. They view change as a natural feature of life rather than an exception to plan around. Your lifetime habit maintenance protocol should include regular system audits, predetermined adaptation triggers, crisis response plans, and legacy documentation processes. These components work together to ensure your positive practices not only survive but thrive across decades of change, creating lasting impact that extends far beyond your individual experience.